All right, welcome to the Sunday Speedrunner Spotlight. Welcome. We are joined by Spike. Hello.
Hello, how you doing, GT?
I am good. It is Sunday, which means it's time to talk speedrunning. So it's always a good
Woo!
day.
hmm Sunday is definitely the day of speedrunning. The only day to talk about it.
Yep.
But get to do a little bit of a deep dive.
Yep.
Talk about this craft that, for whatever reason, has captured our hearts and minds for many years now. For you, how old were you when you got into speedrunning? You were a
18.
baby.
Well,
18, yep.
I still know people that have been around for years that aren't 18 yet, so
Sure.
it could have been a lot younger.
People got very young. I always think of JJ from Super Mario Sunshine, seeing him walk around GDQs like he was might have been about 12 years old. Yeah, he was,
Really?
and he was already a legend at Super Mario Sunshine. But yeah, anyway.
hmm I see. Well, yeah, I started in 2017, but I think you started quite a bit before then. So,
Yes. Yeah,
nice long history.
I initially got into speedrunning back in 2004. I first
Jeez.
heard about um yeah, was it 2004? Was it 2000? I think it was 2004. Yeah. 2004. I uh I like a lot of people of the boomer gaming age, we had subscriptions to various gaming publications, whether
hmm
Nintendo Power, Game Pro. One of mine that I like to read was Electronic Gaming Monthly, where they took out a little one-page ad where they talked about speed running. Just one of
Really?
the early pages in it. And yeah, I'm convinced I am like the only person in the speedrunning community who ever read this article. Nobody, not even the old boys, anybody knows what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's a little thing talking about like, oh yeah, they were able to beat Metroid Prime 100% in an hour and 37 minutes. Link to the Past in an hour 45. Super Metroid in an hour, like whatever all these times. Uh, and if you want to read more about it, you can go to Demos Archive. And I was definitely the one out of my friends when we were like talking about the article and everything. I was fast. I immediately went. So I think I always thought, I guess, the initial concept of a let's play was really cool. But I also really liked high level gaming. Said, okay, speedrunning at the end of the day is you're just really, really good at the game that you love. And you get to kind of showcase it and all its game mechanics done well. So I went there, went to Speed Demos Archive, and it's the long history of it. It was originally a website where they just uploaded a bunch of Quake videos, Doom videos, because they were kind of like the granddaddies of speedrunning, like how all the recording, like the uploading of like their individual level runs. And they finally decided on that website, SDA, that they wanted to start including non Quake and Doom games. And of course, the Nintendo games started coming in. Super Mario Brothers, Ocarina of Time, SM64, all these games saw a bunch of stuff. And that website went from when I found them in 2004, they had maybe about 11 total games on there. I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure, and SDA hasn't been as relevant, I think, it's kind of disconnected from games quick at this point. But there are thousands of games that you can watch there. And you go to speedrun.com, tens of thousands of games all have leaderboards and everything. Everybody's streaming their stuff. It's amazing where speedrunning has gone since. So it was pretty cool to find it and I felt like I was one of the first nerds to find this craft in the more like modern.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that a publication even like knew what it was all the way back
Yeah.
then,
I
honestly.
said there must be just some editor who just they were light brained like me, and they just happened to find and said, "Hey, we can take out a one-page article. These magazines are 150 pages long. They throw whatever in."
Yeah, it makes sense, but yeah, it's crazy to stumble upon that site and there's only 11 games on there.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Especially when, yeah, a lot of people that joined before speedrun.com showed up found SDA, and I mean, yeah, there were hundreds at least. So only 11's kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of the OGs of speedrunning that we always draw back to. Like I said, SMB was up there. I'm sure
hmm
SMB probably 1, 2, and 3 were on there. Super Meta Pass. It was only the big ones. And it's cool seeing like how speedrunning has expanded since there. Of
hmm
like now I remember like I felt like it was maybe 5, 6 years ago, even maybe closer to 10. I've been around for time where I'd say, "Oh, this game's cool. I wonder if there's a speed run for it." Now, I assume every game's got a speed run. It's every single game that is worth an anything. If there is a game where you can mark a starting point and an ending point, there's probably a speed run for it. There's probably like a community for it. You
Mhm.
know, at least 2 or 3 people have picked it up.
Yeah, most
It's
likely.
cool.
And you can probably find like any way to speedrun any game if you really
Oh
want
yeah.
to. So
You can
just
find whatever, like a sports game, a puzzle game. I appreciate that. I think in more modern running, the concept of like category extensions, which effectively is another word for like arbitrary categories, restrict things. This is your goal. It's not always just beat the game. You want to boot up Super Mario Brothers 3 and you want to do frog suit percent,
yeah.
beat as many levels as possible with frog suit. Sure, make that a category. I think sometimes that's where the most fun content creation can come from in speedrunning. Uh, I'm glad more and more people have started to pick that up and just say, hey, speedrunning is as difficult or as easy as you want to make it to be. You want to be big world record grind in like the big popular games, big popular categories. You can go for that, but you can also just make up your own crap and figure it out.
Yeah, you don't even need a leaderboard. You can just be like,
Yep,
Here's some arbitrary goal I have, and go at it." And you're speedrunning. You don't need
absolutely.
anything else. Also, it's funny brought up frog percent. Have you heard of poop block percent?
Poop block. No, is that
Uh,
also
oh
SMB3?
yeah, yep. That's why I bring it up.
What's poop block?
um, I believe because the way the screen scrolls, for some reason, if you hit blocks on like auto scrollers, they can change color. So it's just making it brown.
Uh
Pretty sure that's all it is.
Not done, baby. Let's go.
So when we're talking arbitrary, like, oh, you can
Oh yeah.
do anything.
And we truly mean any.
Oh
Yeah,
my.
I have a couple of friends who they have world record. Uh they're in I have to check the web in like a 200 player tie for the B movie credits world record.
Mm.
Because the game just has a credits option. It's one player options menu credits. They click it, bam, not done, world record. People, here's the thing. You get into speedrunning, everyone acts like we're all high and mighty and everything. We think we're elite gamers. We like our meme. We love our meme. And we
Oh yeah.
want you to come in and meme with us. That's the whole thing.
Oh yeah. There are plenty of memes to go around.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Like more than half the records I've ever held were category extensions, things people
Oh,
don't
yeah.
care about anyway. So like, I know my arbitrary rule sets and everything. So it's definitely
Obviously,
the way to go sometimes.
you have a long history, obviously, Super Mario Brothers won and lost levels, but beyond the any percents and the warp list, the small Mario onlys or anything, is there like a favorite category extension that you have claimed for any of those
Ugh.
games?
Favorite? I'm really bad at picking favorites, but like at least half the our Mario 1 category extensions I've had the record in. At least
Uh,
half. There are some really weird things there, but a lot of them are actually really interesting. Like your
mm,
pacifists and your
oh,
yeah, like those are cool. Not getting any coins, those are pretty cool. Because
ooh,
yeah, there's a lot of unique strats in a lot of the category extensions that you wouldn't see anywhere else, and I'm sure that's true
yeah, you
for a
just
lot
wouldn't
of
even think.
games. So
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah,
they
I know a
definitely have
lot
their
of people.
merit.
I know there's a lot of people who have started picking up like hit list challenges. Different. Want to beat Dark Souls without getting hit. Beat Super Mario 64 without getting hit. All these different categories. And there's so many times where like you don't think about that sort of stuff. It's like you say, you don't coins are just in the path a lot of times. That's not as a speedrun router how you're thinking about running through 1-1 of Super Mario. But all of a sudden you say you can't touch those. You get up to the point and you go, oh, how do I what? Okay. How do I do this? And also, how do I then make it look fast enough, right? How do I
Hmm.
lose minimal time for it? It can lead to some pretty interesting problem solving you got to do.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up 1-1 because you go in the pipe, but it's
There's
impossible to avoid those coins. You have to just go on the overworld.
oh
Like
my
that's the
gosh,
fastest way.
is that the only category that where you actually see the forgotten middle chunk of the overworld of SMB 1-1?
um, nah, I mean, there's the most famous category is 1-1 is Fire Mario, so you just beat 1-1 with fire. So you
Oh,
have
okay,
to get
which
the
you
power
have.
ups, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
But
okay.
other than that, maybe I'm not entirely sure. That's probably the most notable one I can think of.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's always just faster to take the pipes, so you just never see
Oh,
the
yeah.
overworld.
It cuts out an because, like, obviously I don't speed run those games like you do, but I'll do like my casual, like Super Mario All Stars, like
Hmm.
warpless races with buds thing. And I remember there was one time I just was on autopilot and I just went past the warp pipe because that's a fair. It is a warp. You don't take that. That level is so long. Sudden, it feels like you cut out like the middle, like 60% of the level
Hmm.
by going in that pipe.
You cut out more than that. Like it's actually funny because you cut out a lot of the level, but it only
Yeah.
saves like 2.5 seconds, 3 seconds.
Oh, really?
I
Yeah,
know
if you're
you
going
wouldn't think
really
that.
fast.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you wouldn't think
yeah.
it, but yeah, it really doesn't save that much time because of all like the entering the pipe cutscenes and
The
waiting and coming back up. Yeah.
transition, that's always what cuts into it.
So it's just funny to think about. Like you're skipping like I'd say 80, more than 80% of the level even, and it only
Wow.
saves 3 seconds. That's
That's just
speed
how
running
fast
for you.
speedrunners are.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, because one of those like casually, you feel like you saved about 30 seconds, but
Yeah.
speedrunning, yeah, it's amazing how fast speedrunners can move just with like the basic tool set without even trickery and anything in a level routing and whatnot. Again, that's why
Yeah.
we go bonkers over the like, oh my god, I found like a 2 second time. 2 seconds is massive in like
Oh,
any game.
we freak
I
out
don't
about
care.
1 frame.
Oh yeah, for SMB. Oh yeah.
So, I mean, hey, time saves time save. We love to see it no matter how
Well,
minuscule it is.
we'll never scoff at it. Unless it's like the hardest crap. It's like triple frame perfect, sub pixel. Which that's a lot of what SMB1 is, right? How
You
close?
wish it was only triple frame perfect.
Oh, right. How close? Because I mildly try to keep up with
Yeah.
SMB1. How close is that to actually being done? People ask about that all the time. Like, oh, it's done for now. It's done for now. How many frame rules are left? One
22 frames.
away from the task.
Correct. 22
Wow.
frames. There is a
Wow.
number. Um it ties the task to 8.4. It loses 22 frames over the task in 8.4. That's all it is.
That's it. It
That
is
is it.
literally tied to the task going, holy
Yep.
crap.
Yeah, SMB1 has that unique frame rule mechanic that I know a
Uh,
lot of games kind of have a similar thing, but Mario 1's like the most notable for it because a lot of the other 2D Marios don't have it, at least not to that extent. Mario 2 has
yeah.
like its patterns and stuff, but it's a little different.
And
So,
it's one of those where, like, if it wasn't optimized to the point it is, like, people make a big deal out of it.
mhm.
But it really is just because the game is that optimized. Do we notice things like that? Again, we're talking about like 22 frames point.
Yeah.
That's like losing only 22 frames over the course of 5 minutes is unreal. It's
Mhm.
absolutely, and the game is not easy. It is not hold right and win. Like you said,
No.
there's so many like frame perfect tricks and everything else going on.
I think
That's gonna be
there's
one
at
tough.
least like 40 frame perfect inputs and the game runs at 60 FPS, so
Oh,
you know how it is.
you know, yeah,
You know how
yeah.
it is. That's not
Like for
easy.
me, I love speedrunning.
Mhm.
Thank you for having me on this.
Of
Get to talk
course.
a little bit about it. Like for me, I never felt consistent enough at hitting a 60th of a second to where
Mhm.
for me it felt like practical RNG. If it's a 30 FPS game, I expect myself to hit a frame.
Mhm.
But 60, I don't know. I don't know how runners like SMB1 do it. It's that's there's so many of them you got to hit. I can't do DKC1 where you got to hit like 9
Mm.
in the course of the whole run, you know?
I mean, it's hard. Really
It feels like it's
is.
It feels like it's practical RNG, right?
Yeah, just someone
Like there's
who
only so
doesn't who hasn't done it thousands of times. Yeah,
yeah.
I see that. That's how it was for a while.
Mhm.
That's how it felt. Sometimes it still feels that way. I mean, it's really hard to consistently hit multiple frame perfects in a row in like a short time period. Like you're never
Uh-huh.
gonna be 100% consistent at that. It's just really not possible.
What is the hardest level in SMB one? Is it 8-4?
Uh, if you're tying the tasks, yes. If you're if we're worrying about levels that just have frame rules, it would be 4-2.
Forward.
Yeah, that was the last frame rule to be added because of just
Uh,
how difficult it is. That alone is like multiple frame perfects, and that's with like D-pad movement frame perfects and sub. Yeah,
oh
it's
yeah. Because for a long time it was like it was technically where you had to press what like L and R on the same frame, which a task can do, but a
yeah.
in like a
You
different
don't have to
method.
do any of that. Yeah, it's
Okay.
but it is like you know, you're holding right one frame, then nothing the next, then left the next,
Yeah.
then nothing the next, then right. It's like oh, as close as you can get almost.
Yeah.
And
And it's all
sometimes
just
you
in
have to
the
do right, left, right. That I
and it's
think,
all just in the
yeah,
interest of making Mario's acceleration just immediately get to effectively the piece, right?
yeah. That's the stuff you'd see in 8-4 for sure.
Oh,
Yeah, 4-2 is just like that's a lot of subpixel manipulation, and yeah, it's crazy how it works. It's hard to explain properly, but yeah, Mario one's crazy. That's what it boils down to.
one of the granddaddies of speedrunning. Right up there with the Quakes, Doom. If you ever were gonna make a what's the monument with the four
The
presidents
Mount
on it,
Rushmore.
the Mount Rushmore of speed run. SME one would be on there. SME one for sure. Probably SM64, Super Metroid,
It it's
Quake.
gonna be it's gonna be a big monument.
It's got we can't just have four
No,
because it
no.
represents so many games, right?
Yeah, there's got to be at least like 20, 50. I don't know. It'd be a
Uh,
big monument.
dude, I want someone GTA's. You know what? You do it. I'm gonna
What?
make you do it.
Oh
I
no.
want somebody to make YouTube content creation. I'm a sucker. I don't know about you. I'm a sucker for any content creation that's based on lists, top 10 this, top 50 that, yada yada. I'm like, I want to see top 100 speed games of all time. I want someone
Mm,
to make that video. But like, here's the problem. I I was about to call a publication out. I'm not going to, but I want someone who knows what they're talking about to
mhm,
make it. I want someone who understands speedrunning at its core to do it. And they have like very specific, like, there's a balance of just how cool is the speedrun to watch? How much fun is it to execute? How important is it to speedrunning? Like the history of it, like how many people have run it, like all these different factors. Somehow you end up with like a top 100 list out of it. And then make a big old video and I'll watch it when I'm like 7 or halfway there. I think that would be super cool. But I don't know. You got to get someone who wants to do that. That's, excuse me, that's a lot.
Yeah, and I mean that'd be very opinionated on the person making it. I feel like you'd have to like
Oh, yeah.
pull a large selection of the community to like
Uh huh.
kind of get a better idea of what people actually think is the
Right.
best of the best.
Because you get a lot of people who they're knowledgeable about 3 speed games. Like they know the ones. Anytime like a GDQ schedule comes out, a lot of people are like, oh my God, this GDQ schedule sucks or something. And it's like, what that means in translation is it doesn't have any of the 3 games that you personally care about. Because the
Yeah.
speedrunning community isn't really GTA. I don't know how you feel. It's not really a community so much as like 50 to 200 little sub communities that'll
Hmm.
sometimes come together at a GDQ and ESA, one of these various events. So yeah,
Hmm.
you go talk to, a lot of Nintendo people, they're gonna say, oh yeah, Super Mario Brothers, Ocarina of Time, SM64, like these are all the top speed games of all time. You go talk to the PlayStation gamers, they're
Mhm.
probably gonna be like, yeah, those games are fine, but like you got to consider the Ratchet and Clanks, Ash Bandicoot, Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy, all this different stuff. To actually get someone, a committee of people with a well-rounded enough repertoire in like understanding what speedrunning is, it would be almost impossible to make a list like. But I think there are people out there who could do it. I think it'd be. I
Yeah,
just
I
want to
mean,
see.
no,
I just
it
want a
would be cool.
3-hour video to nerd out to watching.
Yeah, as long as it's not Watch Mojo.
That was who I was gonna call out, but now you did it.
I
So there
know.
we go. Okay.
Listen, I saw their video. They did like a top 10 speed runs, and it was
Oh,
so bad. It was
yeah.
awful.
Yeah, they're like
It's
probably looking for whatever gets the most clicks or anything. But there's
mhm.
smaller videos you can also do. You can be like, hey, top 10 skips in speedrun. Like just most influential skips of all time. Stuff like that.
I feel like Easy
Gelato
Skip
Beach
has
from
made these
Sunshine.
videos already.
Yeah, he maybe already has. Yeah, I just haven't. You'll have to link me to him later.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of speedrun content nowadays, so it's hard to find everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's another cool thing that's changed over time. There's so much content now. When I started, it was a new thing. That's how I even found out about it. I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh, I've never heard of this, but someone made content. Now I'm like, wow, this is cool. Now everyone's making content on it.
Yeah. I remember it was like still only like 5 years ago. I remember
Hmm.
how is speedrunning not bigger on YouTube? Like all you find is like, here's the GDQ runs that are done, which are cool. But I'm like, people need to be making like, there's more money in talking about gaming
Hmm.
than there is like actually doing gaming for like content creation. People want to see you talk about like what is the speedrun history, somebody saw
Hmm.
TA. Actually just sitting here again to talk about like what make game tick.
Hmm. Also, I'm just gonna bring it up. The mic is still cutting out the way it
Oh,
was
is it
earlier.
cutting out? I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I'm moving too much. I'm moving too much. Here,
yeah. Your
I'm gonna
mic's
stay more
incredibly
stationary.
sensitive. It's kind of crazy.
Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
you have to be
My
like right into it. It seems for it to work.
uh I'm also very animated, so I like to
Yeah,
move
yeah.
all around
I feel like
everything.
it's a bad combination. The mic's actively fighting against you.
I'm gonna put the mic right there, and hopefully that'll pick us up a little better throughout the whole thing.
All right. Hopefully. Yeah, it wasn't a big deal, but it was just weird. It's just like there and then all of a sudden it just
Oh,
stops working for a
man.
little bit.
Yeah,
But yeah.
I honestly need to get a whole new mic set up.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, plenty of content out there nowadays, so you can find what you
Yeah.
like. And yeah, it is a. I do feel it does kind of suck that a lot of the more traditional stuff don't get picked up as much as it used to because I mean they work hard too. Like speedrunners work their asses off, and
Oh yeah.
sometimes their stuff doesn't get shown unless it's lucky enough to be featured in one of those videos, and it's like, oh hey, there's someone.
Then yes.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
weird
There
thing.
was a long time where the best thing that could happen to your speed game is Summoning Salt does a world record history video on it. Man, I can't tell you how many people got super hype after he did an episode on Lego Star Wars.
Oh, I
His
know.
Everybody was like, "Oh my god, did you? Oh, they're live right now." Like whoever the top runners were, like they just went live and they're going for it because they knew they needed to go live. They needed people to consume that. All of a sudden, they were invested on them hitting all these skips and.
Hmm. I think two people got Twitch partner just from that video. I think that's what they said. So,
I'm not sure he's done any of the games that I've been like. I don't think he's done any like the Kingdom Hearts games or anything.
mhm.
I'm not sure if he's done any of the Donkey Kong countries,
No.
but I also think, and this is no offense to Summoning Salt does an amazing job. I think more people should just steal that idea. Honestly,
Yeah.
like world record progression videos. Average Trey, some of my favorite speedrunning content that has ever been put on YouTube is Average Trey's Super Mario Sunshine world record progression. He's done, I believe, one for any percent and 120 shine.
Mm.
And you can tell he also understands really good editing and everything, has just really good editing skills, and knew how to narrate to the audience exactly all the little changes that had happened over the years in those super complex categories, especially one like a one. So, if you're super invested, I say like, oh, he hasn't done like Kingdom Hearts or anything, something I'm super invested in. Like, I need to go do it. I don't need to do it because I can't make it. But someone else needs to go do it. Someone who's just super invested in the community and can really get that across to.
Yeah, I mean, plenty of people make history videos like that. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's not tied to one person. Anyone can do it about their own game, and usually they always do fairly well. It's
Yep.
pretty nice to see because, I mean, there's so many games. One person can't do it all. Like, you need
Yeah.
more people to be able to do that kind of thing. So, yeah,
Because
I
it
like
is like
seeing it.
it's like more than a world record progression, right? Because like I'm also not like whoever has the world record, that's cool. I love like knowing that part of the story. I just want to see. So the earliest recorded time was someone who did this, Super Mario Brothers in like 5 minutes and 30 seconds. And this is what they did. Pretty simple stuff, yada yada, whatever it might be. And then slowly over time, seeing the strategies that were found. Okay, now they found that. All of a sudden, it cut down a little bit more, and a little bit more, a little bit more. It's less about the person who's got the world record and more about the game and its journey to becoming this super tight, fast little thing.
Hmm. Yeah, that's definitely what kind of got me into it when I first saw it. I was like, oh, that's
Uh,
so cool. And then you hear all these names and you realize there's a community behind it. And I mean, that's just another plus. It's like, oh, I could learn more. I could watch it live. It's like, it's such a good introduction to what speedrunning is a history video on a game you would like or something.
mhm.
It worked for me. It's worked for a lot of people.
I was
It's a
gonna
good
say,
way.
what actually did get you? What was your inspiration? What was your Electronic Gaming Monthly one-page magazine article that got you into? Oh, speedrunning looks so cool.
Super Mario Brothers 90% world record progression. Summoning Salt
Uh-huh.
2017.
There it is.
That's what it was. It's when I saw
Very
it.
sure.
Yeah, I didn't even know what Twitch was, I don't think. Which is kind
Oh
of
wow.
crazy. Yeah, I know.
Uh,
But yeah, I watched it. I was like, "Oh, this looks like it'd be fun to watch." And so the next day I made a Twitch account just to watch and yeah, it worked. It was pretty cool. We're
that's pretty
still
cool.
here. We're still here. But yeah, yeah, I mean,
Is
it
Twitch a
works.
household name yet?
I don't know.
Because my grandmother, if she was still around, she would. If I said YouTube, she would know what YouTube.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't think household. I don't think everybody knows what a Twitch.
Yeah, no, especially not to the YouTube standard, I guess. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, most of the people I interact with obviously know what it is, so
Uh-huh.
I don't really know the answer, but I can only assume not really. But
One
yeah,
day.
Twitch has taken over my like television. Twitch is
Oh
TV for
yeah.
me now. It's just so much more interesting to me.
Yeah, I can't imagine ever owning cable or anything anymore. I'm just like, whenever I watch my like reality TV show stuff, Survivor and whatnot with my wife. Other than that, it's just all right, who's streaming? Because
Yeah.
it's very like it's not just entertainment, it's also like you're building a community. So there's like a social aspect to it. I'm gonna go watch a lot of my friends try to overcome challenges that like are tangible for me as well.
Hmm.
It's like if you got to interact more with like maybe some of your favorite sports, maybe like your favorite athletes and whatnot,
Hmm.
while they are trying to overcome these challenges. It's
Yeah,
it's
it has
cool.
that
It's a
social
cool age
aspect.
we live in. It's so fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like watching TV, but you can interact with the actors.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I think sports in terms of speedrunning is a more accurate connection, but yeah,
sure, because
for
there's
like
a
general
sense of
streaming, yeah,
competition. Yeah. Yeah, because
yeah,
for a lot of people, like they're not necessarily doing a challenge run competitive or anything. There's playing games and you just get to be a part of that community. Cool.
mhm, yeah. I mean, that's just what I like to watch. I'm sure it's the same for a lot of people now. It's only grown more and more exponentially almost since then. So, but yeah, like I have a TV. All I did was bought a Fire Stick. It has a Twitch app. I even have it on right now. Just what I do.
Beyond a game that does not have Mario in it, do you have a speed run slash streamer that you like to watch the most? You're like, oh man, I love when they're on this kind of grind.
Uh, I mean, there's so many people. I couldn't name just one.
I keep asking you
I'd be
what your
here all
favorite
day.
is, and it's hard for you to. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm bad at
Just give
favorites.
me
I suck at it.
Just give me like one. Just it doesn't have to be your favorite. Just like this one's cool. This is like a recommendation for people to be like, oh, I should go start watching.
God, I mean, it's still so hard because you say one and then it's like, well, I really don't know if I could answer it. I'd feel bad for not saying like 10 other people too.
Uh,
It's so
I'll,
hard.
I'll give you one. Anybody, if you're into Sonic the Hedgehog, I just looked over at my Twitch follower page right now. Argix streaming Sonic the Hedgehog, and
Mhm,
that's always. I'll watch anybody go fast in Sonic. It's cool, even
mhm.
if those games. I don't know what your opinion on Sonic games. There's
I've run
definitely.
Sonic too. A
Oh, you have? Okay, cool.
little
Yeah.
bit, yeah.
There are I genuinely think there's a lot of really cool, really good Sonic games. There's obviously the ones that are not that good. And that's fine. That's fine.
Hey, bad
That's
games
simple
make good
criticism.
speedruns, so
But
it all works
yes,
out.
yes, bad games absolutely do make good speedruns. Not by default,
No,
but
of
like
course.
Sonic 06, dumpster fire. Absolutely. But as a speedrun, it hits. It's genuinely so good. It's amazing sometimes, like just because a game is like not great casually, it can be a really, really cool speed. You see that a lot with like awful games done quick, they'll do and whatnot.
Mhm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm actually curious, I don't think we really touched on it, but, I mean, the games you speedrun specifically.
Oh, just like what I
Yeah,
yeah,
what do you do?
what I've golly, I've been around for 100 years in speedrunning.
Really? That long?
My first ever one that I speedran was Kingdom Hearts 2 right after it came out, basically. So I was like at one of the quote unquote pioneers of that game. There were like three of us back in the day. Now there's hundreds. But yeah, Kingdom Hearts 2, back when it came out in 2006, that was the first run that I ever submitted to Speed Demos Archive. Became a part of that community. And since then, like just to simplify it a little bit, because I've speed run close to 50 games now, I'm
Mhm,
fascinated by the art of speedrun. I
mhm,
just love the routing process. I love watching someone when they're just really, really good at a game. I'm mesmerized by people who can play a game like a Super Mario Bros., a Mega Man, a Donkey Kong Country, these, little 2D platformers, especially, but the 3D ones as well. So many other games like a Portal or something. Watch them just move fast, like knowing exactly what they need to do in every single moment. I love the improvisation that you could see a top runner pull out because especially when you're doing it live in front of an audience, whether it's on Twitch or at a big gaming event, speedrunning event or anything, all of a sudden when something goes wrong, that can be one of my favorite times in speedrunning because then you got to see how do they recover. Where a lot of people when they first get into it, they can follow a route, but then as soon as it goes off script, they have no idea what to do. Someone who's that seasoned veteran, they know exactly, all right, this is now what I have to do to effectively get back on script. I think,
Oh,
but
yeah.
yeah, I've speedrun a bunch of the Donkey Kong Country games, Final Fantasy 9, Chrono Cross, the Kingdom Hearts series, the Rayman series, a lot of the 3D Marios, such as Mario 64, Galaxy 1, Odyssey, and a couple other.
Mhm,
Uh, dabbled in stuff like Breath of the Wild before, the Souls games. I just think speedrunning's cool. And I'm like a different range anywhere from I'm not, speed runs,
mhm,
some of them speed space runs where it's the second playthrough of the game.
mm,
But a lot of it, there's definitely runs that I've sunk my teeth into and try to get a little competitive with. And I think my single favorite aspect, I glossed over it there, is the routing.
mhm,
I love, love, love when you get to be there as a pioneer of the game and you just say, all right, these are all the tools in front of me, or I need to get from this side of the screen to that side of the screen. And you start having to do little micro routing
mhm.
of, well, okay, if I take the top route here, that gives me a straighter shot. But maybe there's something where if I go on a lower route, there's a power up or something. And how does that, if I go off the beaten path and then I get something that's maybe going to speed up the later part of the level, you have to weigh, all right, how long does it take me to get back onto the path where we were or further ahead? Do I get that time back in the positive? I love, love, love the art of speed running so, so much. And
Mhm.
I think that's kind of the thing that has kept me around. I've never stopped being fascinated by that since the time I was 18 to now I'm 36. Still think it's super cool.
Yeah, it really never gets old.
Mhm.
Really, I don't think it'll ever get old for me. So far, it
Yeah,
hasn't yet. And
I hope so.
yeah, I mean, it's just so there'll never stop being games coming out, hopefully, and
Right. There's
good or
always gonna be
bad.
new stuff. Yeah. And even
So
then, even if I mean, I don't think games will stop coming out. I mean,
no,
I
I
guess that would change a lot of things. But Super Mario Brothers, people are still like 22 frames, man. 22
hmm
frames. People will grind this stuff down into the dirt. And next thing you know, as soon as someone says, oh, this game or this category is dead, something new is found. It's very different in sports
hmm
than it is in sports, right? It's not just gonna be people just get faster. All of a sudden, we figured out a way to cut a part of the track out of the ground. We can go
yeah,
out of bounds in the Olympic track.
that'd be interesting. I'd watch that.
I watch that. Oh my god, he's zombie hovering.
Oh, I don't want to know how you'd set that up.
I said that out of that.
In
He's
IRL.
pulling out his Game Boy Advance and he's put. Oh my god, he's got a bomb.
Oh,
Uh
oh, oh.
oh, everybody evacuate. Wait, he's using it on himself. And now he's hovering. I'm so confused. Signing out, Spike Vegeta.
Yeah, so that's what real speed running is like, I guess.
Right.
I don't know. I don't watch it, so I can only assume.
There's your speed.
Okay, so that's what it's
Yeah,
like.
I
It
always
sounds
feel like I
interesting.
want. Are you into sports at all?
No.
Nah, okay.
No.
Yeah, I was like, I have my sports that I like. I feel like I watch the Olympics the once every 4 years, maybe out of semi obligation. But it's
hmm
like a lot of that same, thing that interests you. And I guess like almost like we need to flip this to be on the other side because there's still a lot of people who are like, oh, why would you speed run it? That
hmm
seems so weird. And like, what you watch someone like go fast in a video game, and it's like that same part of us that is fascinated by watching sports.
hmm
We're watching someone just play a game.
It's the same
They're
thing.
yeah, the same thing all of a sudden, right? We're doing it to an extent. It's I some of my favorite moments in life is when I have turned a friend on to speedrunning who initially didn't get it. And then I'll
hmm
show them something like, hey, here's like Mario 64, or here's like Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And they watch it and they go,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
I get why people think this is cool now. Oh my gosh.
hmm Yeah, I've
Like,
definitely noticed a lot more people that I know have gotten more into it.
uh,
And I guess it helps that it's become more and more mainstream in the like internet side of things. Like you'll hear YouTubers that have nothing to do with it like casually mention it or something. It's like, oh,
yeah, do a little name drop.
oh.
Like, yeah, I know, like, this is what speedrunners like to do.
And
They know enough about the craft at this point.
yeah, and I mean I know life to YouTube when I was in high school and like early 2010s and they never brought it up. I didn't know what it was until 2017 when I was out of high school. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. You got into it so, like that was well past the like GDQ first got $1 million in 2014. Because I
Mhm.
felt like the biggest growth period for speedrun was 2015 to I guess about 27
Mhm.
when you got into it. Like I say, 2014 to 7. That was the heyday of people were coming in. You were at like the tail end of that. Because
Mhm.
that was when I feel like everybody in media. I remember the first time Sinister was able to beat Mike Tyson's Punch Out live at a GDQ stage, blindfolded.
Mhm.
And it was getting mentioned on like ESPN, like sports publication stuff. We're talking about it. Like, man, this is super cool. This guy did this blindfold. More and more, all of a sudden, people were like, wait, what is this speedrunning thing? Speedrunning. And then that's where you saw communities start to blow up. You had a
Mhm.
little community of maybe 30 people playing Donkey Kong Country. You got 80 people playing Donkey Kong. You got,
Yeah.
it was already like 500 people playing SM64. Now it's thousands of people playing
Mhm.
SM64. People coming in from like the Smash community. There's a lot of overlap with people who like Smash and people who like playing Nintendo games fast.
Mhm. Yeah, there's a lot of like competitive games that, aren't speedrunning, but there's
Uh,
a lot of people kind of do both. I know the kid that broke Tetris on the NES. Like that was
oh,
a
yeah.
huge thing. He runs Mario 1. Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
I never knew
I
this.
did
That's so cool.
I didn't notice either, but I saw him pop up in the Discord talking about flagpole glitch and I was like, "Wait. Wait, I was like,
Are you
is
the
that?
legend?
Man,
Because he's
clear.
the first to ever do it, right? He's the only one who's ever broken actress.
Well, no, there's like 3 people or maybe even more now that have done it since. But yeah, he was the first. But
He was the
even
first.
sir, like the second person to do it wasn't too long after that. It was like a week or two or something. I could be wrong, but it wasn't long after.
Yeah. Once they realized it was an obtainable goal. Yeah, because it's on
People
that
start
version.
doing it.
For
Yeah.
anybody watching this who's and listening to this who's like, what are they talking about? Broken. Hit got survived in Tetris on the NES for so long, getting so many lines. The game just eventually bricked, basically.
It
It
just
said,
stopped.
after however many lines or points or time or whatever it was, hit
Hmm.
it. And that was only a couple months ago at this point. So multiple others have done it. Cool.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's a cool thing about a community, and this is especially true in speedrunning, is you have this wall of some barrier, and once the first person breaks through that wall, it's open for everyone now. People can just start. It makes it so much easier to like see it as an obtainable goal, where now a
Yeah.
lot of people can do it.
Yeah. All of a sudden, I bring up SM64 again.
Hmm.
As soon as people brought up the whole concept of carpetless, and up in Rainbow Ride, there's a star where normally it was basically an auto scroller. You just had to ride a carpet all the way
Hmm.
up to the rooftop, and then you get a star. It was generally like kind of almost like a semi bathroom sort to run. But
Almost.
then people found out how to get up there, and it was only a task could do it. Oh no, this is never going to be RTA viable.
Hmm.
Then slowly people start doing it, but they're doing it with like multiple save states, like connecting it all together. Like there's no way. Proof of concept. They did it one time without save states, but you know, it took them 40 hours to do it. And
Hmm.
all of a sudden, people start finding setups. And all of a sudden, you go from, well, this is going to ruin the game now. It's going to be so inconsistent. And then all of a sudden, the great Bubsy, who has played and beaten so many games blindfolded, decides to show up and do it not once, not twice, 3 times blindfolded, carpetless in a row. And all of a sudden, we realize maybe this is more consistent than you think. It's all about setup.
Hmm.
GTAs, I know you've done obviously recently at GDQ. Was it SME 1 or Lost Levels that you beat one hand?
That was Mario 1 at
That was Mario.
SGDQ last year. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure, that's a challenge no one would have ever thought about doing, but like slowly but surely you start going along, you find setups for things, methodologies for like controller grips and whatnot. Next thing you know, what was impossible is now possible. That's some of the coolest stuff you can bring to speedrunning is being that pioneer of finding all these strats and everything to make it happen. Not implying I'm not sure how much you necessarily found yourself, how much it
Mm.
was a community effort on like the one hand. But yeah, it's amazing stuff that if you went back in time and told someone, hey, in 5 years, we're going to be doing carpetless. Hey, in 5 years, someone's going to be able to beat SMB1 one handed in a very respectable amount of time.
I had
There's no one.
flagpole glitch in that run.
You hit
I
flagpole.
know. It's so stupid. That run was way too good.
I remember it was one of those we were working backstage. So I
Mm.
got to see a lot of the run, actually. I was lucky too. And one of the most unbelievable runs I had ever seen. Because like you're more accepting of it, right? It's kind of like if you go watch improv theater, you're a
Hmm.
little more accepting of when things are a little off because like they're making it up on the yada yada.
Hmm.
If you had died a number of times and been like, well, yeah, he's doing it one handed, like you
Yeah.
have to adjust your expectations a little bit. There I was like, I was like forgetting you were doing it with one handed a lot of the time. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I couldn't keep up with 2 hands right now. I have 3 hands I couldn't do.
Yeah, it was a weird thing where, yeah, if I got hit a single time, it would have gotten a lot harder with one hand because I was, using a glitch where if you get hit, you're small Mario, but you're big. So your hitbox
Yeah,
is doubled and you die upon getting touched. It would have been like a huge pain, but that didn't
yeah,
happen at all. It,
elite.
it went literally perfectly. So I was like, okay. And I mean, yeah, I practiced a lot like safe strategies and stuff. But I
Sure.
mean, still, like, it's so easy to mess up anything. So
Hey,
the
man.
fact that doesn't happen is just in it, especially like any GDQ run where you see something like that. It's just crazy how well
Practice
things
makes
can
perfect.
go sometimes.
Sometimes it
Some.
theoretically, hopefully, will bring perfect. I'm sure. I'm assuming a lot of your games have good. One thing I love that has developed in speedrun over the years is just good methods for practice.
Mm-hmm.
That more and more communities have started to realize, like, oh, we should make like practice hacks. Say, oh, you want to go practice in Super Mario World, any level with any power up? All right, you could jump around. Here you go. Here's all the things. Set yourself up. I'm sure SMB1's got something similar. Oh, I want to practice 7-4, entering with Fire Flower, and bam, I can make effectively a save state right there and start going.
Mm-hmm. You can even check your select your frame rule. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. Mario One's practice tool is incredibly good. There's so much. It even has lost levels built into it, so you can do
Oh,
both games.
really?
Yeah, it's crazy. They have little scenarios where you can practice FPG and it'll tell you what input you did wrong. Like, yeah, it's really cool. And then, yeah, like Mario World's hack is like ridiculous. You can choose power ups that don't exist if you want to. If you want to practice your like arbitrary code execution stuff, it's wild. And then Mario 64's is really nice too. You can set it up to do like uh RTA of a stage and it'll like keep track of a timer and like when you perform certain actions and yeah, a lot of the practice hacks that exist are like really interesting and cool and incredibly
Yeah.
helpful for the community. They've been like game changing since they've
Oh,
come out.
yeah. And that's why you see like so many more people, like you said, start achieving these better times so much faster. Because
Hmm.
I remember I was a pleb. I was going in like, just well, I'll just go play the levels in my game. Not think about how much time you waste looking at loading screen. Having to get, oh, I lost this. So now I got to go back and get this thing. And then I can go back and practice this level or anything. It's like, no, as soon as you go to, your first thing I tell someone, they're like, oh, I want to get into speedrunning. All right, find a game you want to run, go to speedrun.com, the game page for that, and join the Discord for that game. And
Hmm.
there's probably a resources tab that will give you routes and stuff like that and practice. And all of a sudden, that's how you can power up from basic, jumped in, my time's going to be pretty slow at the start, pretty casual to all of a sudden being, a top runner, maybe a world record contender in the course of, much less time than we could when we were first starting,
Hmm.
right? Before all these great practice tools were out there. I get unnecessarily excited when I'm watching a speed game that I love and someone's like, "Oh, I need to go practice this." And I see how quickly they're able to go exactly where they need to go and practice this one jump over and over again. I went, "Oh, it's got a practice hack. Let's go, baby." And it's not even just
Hmm.
old game. You got stuff for like Super Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild. These games have
Hmm.
so so
And
cool.
especially with old games, like the thing of EverDrives having save state slots and stuff, and you can just go back and
Uh,
practice things. That was huge, and that was right
that's
before like practice sets became prevalent. But I was lucky to join at a time where at least save states were easy.
yeah,
Practice hacks weren't like a huge thing yet, but like practicing was still pretty easy. But I talked to people that were like running Mario 1 in like the early 2010s, even like the 2000s. And you would do the like infinite lives glitch and then go to a
yeah,
level and just keep playing it and die on purpose at the end or something to replay it again. And you can route frame rules back then, so that being able to do that like optimized the game more because originally you were like essentially playing with RNG and now that's gone because you can
right.
manipulate it. It's helped
Hmm.
so much.
Oh yeah.
Game changing for sure. That is definitely the
You
word to
you
use. So.
you cannot put a price on how important those have been to. Some people, I think take it as like a negative connotation. People say of like, well, this game is solved now. It's like I don't know if like speedruns are ever necessarily solved. Like they're all as long as people want to dig, the routes and stuff are always going to change for speed. You're
Mhm.
always going to try to push it and see where can the games go. But more importantly, much more quickly, the entire community of runners, they're all going to power up to meet the standards of what has been found at that point. If they want to go there, they can go there. The resources are there. Very cool.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's great to see just it being more and more accessible to everyone, because as the community grows, yeah, you're gonna want to have all these things to make it as easy as possible for people to get into, and you you've just seen that more and more. It's great to see. Helps
So,
build the community. So so next I should talk about the big thing, GDQ, of course.
sure.
Um, Now that started in 2010.
Yep.
I know it did, in Mike's mother's basement. Although
Yep.
I do
The
know it was
famous
supposed to be at I forget the event, but yeah, it was supposed to be
Mag.
some
Mag.
it was,
Yeah.
yeah, Magfest. It was supposed to be
Yeah. And there
somewhere,
were
didn't
people.
work.
Yeah. You'll even see like people had footage of them like trying to get it work at MagFest. And it was just
Mm-hmm.
the internet upload. It was like 0.5 upload. There was
Oh
no
my god.
shot they were ever going to get a stream out there. And all of a sudden, I guess Michael's like, all right, mom, I'm bringing 30 quote unquote friends with me. Because, a lot of them just met for the
Mm-hmm.
first time there in person. With me to the basement. Is there any way to make this work? Because, it's the charity event. You want to get the money raised and you
Mm-hmm.
don't want to just cancel it. People spend all this time getting the trips out there. And, GDQ is the definition of a humble beginning into
Mm-hmm.
now millions of dollars raised twice a year for various different charities. And a lot of people, it's like the Super Bowl of the year for speedrunning,
Mm-hmm.
getting to showcase all their different games. They love getting put on the cast list of like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my god, I get to be there and I get to showcase Ratchet and Clank up your arsenal. It's so cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
so
yeah,
I know it had a heavy connection to Speed Demo's archive.
yes.
Um, so, and since you were around back then, do you remember when this first GDQ happened?
I remember when it first happened, and I tell you what, GT, the coolest thing I think it about GDQs and like live streaming and everything happening was that back in the day, it things were not as easily accessible to us for
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I just want to watch a speed run. A lot of those just weren't necessarily there, right?
Mm-hmm.
You maybe could find a video on like Nico video or something. It's hard to find. A lot of times what it was is you're on a forum post and someone says, hey, yeah, so I'm two people are speedrunning Donkey Kong Country 2. Oh, I found this strat in this, in this level that saves like 4 seconds. So cool. All right, great. I'll know when you submit your VHS tape
Mm-hmm.
to Speed Demo's archive. And then in 8 months, when it gets fully encoded and then uploaded to the site in high quality, then I will see what you're talking about. So the thought of all of a sudden getting to see all of this stuff live, people
Mm-hmm.
show up and doing it right there in front of you on their console. They're going to explain the whole thing as they go through it. That was so cool to me. And we all realized that was why, like, again, I still think GDQs are massive today. But that's why GDQs were super, super massive at the peak of interest of speedrunning back.
Mm-hmm.
That people were, I'm dog
It's all
crying
right.
together. But actually, do you mind if I don't know if we can like cut there and like cut back to it afterwards. Can I go take care of them real quick?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
I think their mom just left and now they're
I understand. We respect the doggos. It's all good. Well, what up, gamers? Yeah, if there's anyone watching, if there's any questions so far, I can get some stuff to ask later if anyone's interested. Yeah. Yeah, so I don't got much to say in these situations. Oh, hold on. Dog.
issue.
Dog.
Ish.
Let's go dog cam. Okay, well.
So I was like, wait, distract for 2 seconds after their mom walked out the door.
It's all
But I'm
right.
sorry. Yeah. So lost my train of thought there. I was trying to talk and I was like, oh, they're crying. I got to go take care of them.
Yeah, no.
But yes, speedrunning, but like not all of it was live. So all of a sudden, getting
Mhm.
to see that done uh in person was so cool. So for the person like me who was interesting about speedrunning at the ground level, about like the routing process, like, all right, if you want to beat Chrono Trigger fast, this is how you do it. This is we go from here. I specifically only pick up 3 chests, and then I go and fight this boss. And these are the battle tactics I use. For me, I got to watch all that play out in real time. I did not have to wait many months for it to maybe get published on a website.
Mhm.
So taking that, getting to watch it live, that was super, super cool. And I eventually said, well, I want to be a part of this. I am a part of this community. I want to go there and be live. I had never gotten on a plane by myself in my life until 2011, where I went out to Salt Lake City, Utah, and was a part of Summer Games Done Quick 2011, where I got to run Rayman 2 and Kingdom Hearts 2. I like the twos.
Mhm.
Um, a little community. It was about 25 of us in Essentia's. I almost said her basement, but just her house. Invited a bunch of us over.
Mhm.
Raised like 20 something thousand dollars, 23, $24,000. And it was amazing. I felt like one of the things I wanted to bring to speedrunning, because I think there was this element of just let the game speak for itself. And this is no offense on anybody who was there at the time. I wanted to bring, because I thought speedrunning was so cool. I have a theater background. I wanted to make it a performance art of sorts.
Mhm.
So for me, the most important thing was not watch me do this cool stuff. It was explaining, I'm going to do this cool stuff, and this is why it matters. So a lot of times, like my thing I would fall into. So normally what would happen here is the game wants you to do X, Y, and Z. But instead, I'm going to come over here, do this, boopity boopity boop, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, we maybe go out of bounds, or we completely bypass this really long attack from the boss that wastes a bunch of time and is dangerous. And now all of a sudden, they're going to die before they even get to that.
Mhm.
We're all of a sudden going to do this. I always wanted to help direct the audience's eye at the things that I thought were super interesting, and also knowing the pacing of how you present that info. Because it's really easy. You mentioned how you speed ran Sonic the Hedgehog 2, you speed run in
Mhm.
the past. There's a million things that you could explain
Mhm.
about Emerald Hill 1, right? About like how it works, how you go fast. But if you try to explain everything, it's all going to go over everybody's head.
Mhm.
You have to realize, I always say, take a given like a 20-second level like that. What is the 1 to maybe 2 most important things about that level that you want to describe about the overarching theme of that level? Or so this is one like for a long time, the world record was 20 seconds. Most recently, it got down to 19 seconds. And that's because of this optimization. And in the time it took me to explain that sentence to you, GT, you're done. You've done the 19 seconds of the level in the time it took me to explain that. So
Mhm.
understanding the performance art of it, commentary, how to present that to viewers, and making them a smarter audience that also appreciates speedrunning, not for just the glitz and the glam, the ooh, they're going so fast, they're doing all these cool moves and everything. That's cool. You understand the how, the why, the what underneath it all makes it all tick.
Mhm.
That's what I want to see. That's what I wanted. And it's cool to find audience members the same. Not that there's anything wrong if you're like, I just want to vibe.
Mhm.
I want to get some popcorn. I want to watch someone go really fast in Mario. That would be cool.
Yeah.
But that's when people want to get nerdy like us.
Mhm. And I think it's a big reason why, content side of things has blown up so much. People do like learning that kind of stuff. It is interesting. So
Absolutely.
I'm sure like that helped a lot of the runs featured at GDQs like be more interesting if people kind of did it that way. But yeah, I mean both ways are
You've
fine.
you've
But that's why
slowly
commentary. commentators. You now have commentators, and they can explain it for the runner, and all that.
Oh yeah.
Like it's so good.
It's slowly over the years gone from like a lot of people said like there maybe weren't a lot of great commentators in speedrunning. Runs you'd watch like, oh, we're just kind of vibing to them, yada yada. Slowly over the years, like I'll watch, we just had this past AGDQ 2024 go by. I can't off the top of my head think about a single run where I thought the commentary was anything less than at least very solid.
Hmm.
And a lot of the commentary was very, very, very good. Um, just having that good rapport, that back and forth with maybe the other runners that you're racing or you're co-ops with, or you have the couch back there doing the shout commentary or anything. There's all sorts of different vibes. Like sometimes you want to watch a run that's like super intense, super serious, super technical, breaking down. Sometimes you want to laugh at a run for 20, 30 minutes. And all those, those and everything in between are hit. So there's probably, even if you don't know the games, there's probably a run that is going to be good for you. And I
Hmm.
want to know, like we talk about like GDQ all the time, obviously the biggest event in speedrun. But I
Yep.
mean this for like events across the board, like ESAs out there, the RPG limit breaks, and so many others.
Hmm. Yeah. It actually, I definitely feel it, that sentiment, because like I suck at commentary by myself, but I
It's
need like
hard.
to I yeah I'm just bad at like being alone and having to like talk. Like I'm even, I'd say, pretty bad at streaming normally, because I'm by myself. I'm just gonna play the game in silence at a certain
Uh,
point. But if I have someone to like bounce back and forth with, all of a sudden I can talk. I can,
oh
and
yeah.
sometimes even perform better. Like my GDQ runs have been pretty damn good. I'm
Uh,
just, and it's just like, why sometimes I wonder why, like, what did I do? And it's because I'm not like overthinking it. I'm bouncing back and forth with someone. It takes my mind off of it. I think it
yeah.
really does help.
Yeah. There's a certain amount of like, absolutely, you need, when you've done something thousands of times, like you have done,
Hmm.
the Super Mario Bros. You need the muscle memory to at some point just kind of kick in.
Hmm.
And in terms of like the rapport, the back and forth, I think any single person who gets really, really, really into something, fixated on doing something well, like we try to do here, I think if you're able to peel back that shell, they can be a motor mouth about it and just talk forever about like what makes Pepsi Man tick,
Yeah.
right? How
Yeah.
this run is possible. If you can get someone to talk to you about it and bounce back and forth, I would say to anybody, if you're going to do a run at a marathon, at an event, maybe an online marathon, have somebody there,
Hmm.
somebody to do commentary. Even if they don't know the run, someone who's just good enough at like just asking questions. It's for a long time, it was a commentary archetype that was lovingly called the dumb guy.
Hmm.
It's someone on the couch who knows nothing about the game or anything, but like they know enough to ask questions of, yeah, so I see you all the time. When you go to jump, you like turn left there for a second. What is that doing? Oh, it's actually helping me reach my max acceleration as soon as possible. Something like that. Like sometimes, like you don't even think about it because you just do.
Hmm.
You're just a top level speedrunner. All of a sudden, like, oh yeah, the average audience member, doesn't know why I'm doing. So getting someone in there just to get you to talk, I think is invaluable. A lot of
Hmm.
those can be the MVPs.
Yeah. A good example of just not like having someone, but like that. I mean, so there's Pace, the like GSA's event.
Yeah.
I I did a run in 2022, and I was by myself, and like, I can try my best, but it's hard when you're by yourself. But so the next time I got in, I made sure to have someone, and they were knowledgeable, so that helped a lot. But I made sure to have a commentator, and
Yeah.
that was I didn't play that well, but it was a much more pleasant experience, and I felt like,
Right.
yeah, it was just easier. It was just easier.
It's amazing the amount of times I'll look back on like various speedrunning performances I've done over the years. And I would rather have a run where I maybe don't play as well. I play fine.
Mhm.
To the average person, they're still like, oh my God, their gameplay was incredible. But
Sure.
like obviously you're always going to be your harshest critic because you
Hmm.
know what's going on under the hood. And I'd rather have one where I don't play as well, but I have like a really good back and forth with a commentator or something, and like everyone's having fun, as opposed to one where the run was like, super, super, super good, like almost world record or something, but the commentary wasn't exactly. People will take the first one I mentioned there 10 times
Hmm.
out of 10, you know, unless you're like down in the weeds, like, oh my gosh, you know, Zos just got the Super Metroid world record on DDQ. That's incredible.
Hmm.
Anything outside of that, like, hey
Yeah.
man, give
Yeah.
me. I want to watch those back and forth. That's so good.
Yeah. It's so much better. It's just better in so many ways. Like, oh, there's this trick coming up. I need to focus on it. You can explain it.
Yeah, you take it,
You
Joe.
take it. And
Yeah.
so the runner can focus, and the like importance of this thing is still getting across.
Uh,
Because yeah, like if you're trying to explain this cool thing you're doing by yourself, it's going to be harder to execute it because you're like trying to multitask. And so you get
right.
that, and then yeah, again, the back and forth, that's important. Like it's just all positives. It's all positives, I think.
You want the payoffs, right? You want the payoffs for like, hey, I just hit this like quad frame perfect trick. And if I don't explain it to you, it's amazing how often in speedrunning, I, uh, I'm a casual viewer. I
Yeah.
didn't know they did 4 frame perfect tricks. That looked like they held right and they jumped over a few things. I guess it kind of looked cool, but like having someone set it up, set it up, set it up, give you all the deets you need, and then right in that moment, you watch the runner nail it. Those are electrifying moments in
Hmm.
speedrunning performance. It's so, so cool when that comes together perfect. Having that context, because then you can feel it in the crowd when like they kind of get it, they're invested, they know what's happening, and then it happens. Oh my gosh.
Hmm.
Those are my favorite moments.
Oh yeah. And going back to that first GDQ we're talking about, you had to do commentary by yourself, I assume, right?
Oh yeah. I remember like the great Rom Scout that I still am lucky to get to do some work with here and there. I remember he chilled on like either was like reading donations or chilled on the couch or something.
Mm-hmm.
It was like it was such a chill environment that we were in that people felt okay with just like, hey, I'll come sit on the couch. And thank God for back then, because there are a lot of times like there wasn't a super formal, like these are the 3 couch commentators.
Hmm.
It was just whoever happened to be there. Sometimes it was just the runner and the person reading donations and a person on like that was it.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, for the most part, like, I go there and do Rayman 2. I'm the only person who knows Rayman 2. Go there and do Kingdom Hearts 2. There was myself and Puexel racing Kingdom Hearts 2. Nobody else there knew the Kingdom Hearts 2 run. Like maybe more people knew what Kingdom Hearts 2 was,
Hmm.
but that was about the extent of it. So like, yeah, you kind of had to force yourself to be like, okay, I'm maybe gonna sacrifice a little bit of my focus on executing the run super, super well, just so I can explain everything and make sure that gets across. Because
Hmm.
that's just gonna be more.
Yeah.
And again, before you know it, now it's like everything's super formal when it comes to commentary. Everybody thinks out like, what is the vibe of my run? Who do I want to be there? Do I want to be, maybe I'm the world record holder and I'm going to get the number 2, 3, and 4 runners there. Maybe I just want people that are going to bounce well off of me. And like we're going to be able to joke back and forth. Sometimes I want people who know nothing about the game and have never seen it. And that's going to make for its own fun stories. Again, shouts to Philly for having me on the couch for his Bluey run at
Hmm.
this past HDQ. I didn't even know Bluey was a show. It's an adorable little kid show, it looks like. And just said, I want you to live react to everything that's going to happen on screen. Led to some hilarious moments. And it's unique stuff like that that I think makes speedrunning as a performance art that much more.
Hmm. Yeah, and it definitely went that route over time. Like it became more
Yeah.
like about the performance, and yeah, that's great because you can still have your like try hard people, but yeah, as
Oh,
long as they
yeah.
have commentators,
Yeah.
it's a performance now, and you're not sacrificing that focus and stuff.
Mhm.
It's really cool. So,
I never ever want to lose the try hard. I
mhm,
want the quote unquote God gamer
of
keep
course.
come in and showcase these hundreds, thousands, maybe 10,000 plus hours that they have dumped into this game, into this craft, and show this is what speedrunning can look like if you put this many hours.
Mhm.
That, it's a journey like it is for anybody else. I find that stuff just as mesmerizing as people who are really good at like rhythm games and stuff.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of dedication, man.
And yeah, that's another reason why live events are great. Like you get those, you can have people that are more casual. You get it all, and you're never like sacrifice. At least in modern times, you're not like sacrificing the like enjoyment of it through your focus or anything. You usually have something where like it's more of a performance, like you were saying, and
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean that's just going to be more entertaining and enjoyable to watch for the viewer because at the end of the day, like you do have to remember that this is like a live performance, so
Mhm.
you have to adjust for this different environment. But yeah, you can do so without having to like take away from how what you're used to doing. I mean, it's going to be
Absolutely.
different, but you know you can make it work.
Yeah, because there was always like an argument. Like, were we worried that we were reaching a point where we were taking it too much away from the craft of speedrunning?
Hmm.
Like, oh, it's no longer enough to just speedrun a game. Now you got to do it blindfolded with one hand, the other one tied behind your back or with your feet. You're in a
Hmm.
shark tank the whole time, like you're getting attacked. And
Hmm.
meanwhile, the controller's in honey. You know, is it not enough anymore just to speed run? And like, I just think all this sort of stuff is showing like video game challenges and is saying, one-handed Super Mario Brothers is not a traditional category, but
Hmm.
it's something very extra that you were able to do. And I think that's really, really cool that we get to show that off. I'm glad that we've gotten to the point where we not only it's make cracking more jokes and everything. I think it's just improving like the pacing and whatnot of a speed and allowing
Hmm.
people to like, hey, stick around because we all have different levels of attention spans and everything. I love educating an audience on why they should stick around for this run that they've never heard of. That's going to be super, super interesting from a speedrunning standpoint, but also allow you to laugh and cry a couple times. It's going to be great.
Hmm. Yeah, and you get it all now, and
Mhm.
I mean you've seen it evolve into where it is now over all this time, at least in the GDQ side of things. Like, have you gone to like almost every event since that first one you went to?
Yeah, I went to SGDQ 11.
Hmm.
I did not go to AGDQ 12. I was not able to make it. I was working at the time. I was on tour. And then I went to SGDQ 2012, and I've been to every single event since. Every single mainline AGDQ and SG.
And
So
that's like 30 of them. So,
yeah, that's how many just in a row right there. That's 12, 13. It's like 26
yeah,
straight GDQs that I've been to. 25, 26, somewhere in that range.
just
So
about, yeah.
yeah, needless to say, I like GDQ. I like being able to see because I have dabbled in so many different sub communities: Donkey Kong Country, Rayman, Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy, yada yada. It's very cathartic for me to go and get to just have face to face interactions with people from each of those different communities and learn about those people also not from a gaming standpoint.
Hmm.
One of my favorite dinners I had this past GDQ is we went out to get sandwiches or something with some people from the Kingdom Hearts community. And we did not once talk about video games. I love video games, believe it or
Hmm.
not. I think
Yeah.
speedrunning's super cool. But I just got to know them as people. And at the end of the day, like people, I think are the spice of life. So going to GDQs for me and like constantly seeing, I've been around for a long time, seeing the turnover of different people getting interested in the craft of speedrunning, people coming out to these events, the new people who are the gods of all these different games. it's been super fun to get to interact with them and see like what their backgrounds are, where they come from in
Mhm.
life, gaming, what got them into speedrunning. That'll endlessly be fascinating. And I think it's super cool that I've gotten to do it for so many years. I'm probably going to go until either I'm gone or GDQ's gone. I don't really see myself stopping going.
What do you
Um,
think dies first?
God,
Yeah, that's a hard question.
that's a loaded question. I'm
Um,
trying to think.
it was more
I
of a
hope
joke. You don't have to answer
no,
honestly.
no. Yeah, I hope GDQ's around for a long time. I think GDQ. I mean, we'll see. How long is Twitch going to be?
Yeah, I
When are
mean,
they going to have to make
there's
adjustments?
so much uncertainty just for anything. So yeah, I mean, there's no real answer.
Anything beyond the next about 5 years, and we're like, I don't know, like everything might just change all of a sudden.
Yeah, we have no idea.
Where we're going to be doing all of this, but we'll see.
Hmm. But yeah, what you were saying, it's kind of why I started this. I know we talk about
Yeah,
gaming a lot, but I, like hearing people's stories and like their speedrunning history and everything. So yeah, just being able to talk to human beings, it's a good time. So,
absolutely.
and that's why live events are so nice. You get to do that in person. It's
Hmm.
my favorite part about speedrunning easily, and I say it almost every time I do one of these episodes. So yeah.
The people behind it, we're not robots. We bleed.
Oh
And
yeah.
we have faults. We're not perfect. Like, kind of
Hmm.
realizing how do humans get good enough at these games to where they can do, like, again, give me that number one. We've talked about Super Mario Brothers 1 a lot, but
Hmm.
I mean, again, you're one of the best there is, the best there ever was, best there ever will be at Super Mario Brothers 1. How many frame perfect tricks do inputs do you need to execute an SMB one run?
20 something. I don't know.
That's amazing that humans can do that.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
amazing.
And that's just
Really
me.
good.
Like you go to the actual like world record contenders, you're like doubling that, tripling that. So that's just
Right.
how it
20
is.
is like, this is the beginner mode. It's like, come on, man.
Well, the amount of
20.
frame perfects just go up exponentially as you
Yeah.
get better. It's actually like crazy just how big it is because even like 457, which is only 2 seconds
Uh,
slower than my PB.
yeah.
You only need like two.
Right. It's like shaving those, like, that extra half second, that extra
Hmm.
7 frames that slowly comes along with it.
And then you
How hard?
I was
It,
gonna
it,
say
it, go ahead.
you shave off 1 second from that, the traditional route. Now it's suddenly 12.
Uh,
Like that's how quickly it starts going up. And then
golly.
yeah. All right, what were you
Golly.
gonna say?
No, I remember. Are you familiar with the runner around for a long time? Might have been kind of as you were getting into it. Blecky?
Yes, of course.
Yes. I remember like Golden, good
Hmm.
friend of ours, came up with the 12-hour speedrunning challenge. It's meant to
Yeah,
get people
love
to
the 12-hour
try stuff.
challenge. Yep.
Yep, yep, yep.
That's why
You
I did
got
Sonic 2.
Oh,
That's how I
that's
did
where
it.
Sonic 2
Yeah.
came from. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
There you go.
Anyone not familiar with it, it's you have 12 hours to learn a speed run, and you have to just complete a run of it in that time. It's supposed to be like a run like you've never tried to speed run it before. You've
Hmm.
always wanted to get into it. There'd be different themes, yada yada. I remember there was one day Blecky wanted to do the 12-hour speedrunning challenge, and he said, I'm gonna see if I can beat Super Mario Brothers 1 in under 5 minutes in 12 hours. And he's consummate professional speedrunner. He gets it. He understands. He got all the practice tools and everything. He was not able to do it in 12 hours.
Hmm.
And it's, you kind of, I imagine, almost every frame perfect trick. He got somewhere in the 5.0 exit
That's pretty
in 12
good.
hours.
Yeah,
I was like, that's pretty good.
that's
How
pretty good.
long would it take someone who's like accomplished this speedrun, someone who gets it? How long do you think it would take them to just get a 459 in Super Mario Brothers
Yeah.
1?
Um. Well, what's nice about that is technically you don't need any frame perfects, so
Uh-huh.
that helps. Honestly, if you really tried, people have done it in a day.
Wow.
I know.
That's
I would
that's
say
impressive.
a week easily.
Wow. Okay.
I'd say if you know what you're doing, and put in a lot of effort, you could do it in
Yeah.
a week. Anyone could. I really
I've
think
always
that.
I already brought up to you earlier the like, oh, someone should make like a top 100 speed runs of all time. You know,
Mhm.
it's like something I want to see also a lot more of. I think like I think like timed challenges, which I know like that is inherently what we're doing here, or they're time challenges.
Yeah, of
But it's
course.
like, all right, you get X amount of hours and, you know, maybe X amount of attempts or whatever it was. And maybe it's like the first person that can cut the 5 in Super Mario Brothers 1 out of these 10 people, you win, right?
Mm,
You can get whatever resources you want, yada, yada. Maybe there's like some slight limit to the attempts you can do it. I liked adjustments like I would do with friends with the 12-hour speedrunning challenge, where it'd say, all right, you have 12 hours, but you get a full 12 hours of practice. And then after those 12 hours, then we all show up that learned that game. And now we do a race to see who can perform the best, yada,
mhm,
yada, right? Um, I love speedrunning as a competition. I want it to work live. And I think, you know, live races are fine. Obviously, I know
mhm,
you've performed a lot of them. I've performed a lot of them. But I really love stuff like that. And what Break the Record Live has done with ESA, where they say, we're going to get 7 people. They have 3 days to do it. And whoever records just the best time in those 3 days, you win the top cash prize for that.
mhm.
I want a lot more events like that happening, like just creative ways to figure out how to make live competitive speedrunning that much more engaging. Because I think
Mhm,
that's like one of the next steps speedrunning needs to take. That is not just one versus another person, and it's a one lap race. You just go. I think that's fine.
mhm.
I just think we need to get more creative to sell it to the average audience.
Yeah, I've been loving the live time attack format, which is what you were
Yes.
saying, the break the record deals. Like currently there's one going on right now. The GSA
Oh,
is
there.
doing their 120 star thing to qualify for their pace event.
Oh, that's cool.
That's
That's
actually
cool.
what's on my TV in the
I
background
love a
as
lot of
I
the
say.
stuff GSA's been doing with that. Yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
that's on your TV. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Just
Because
for
because there's
just background noise.
there's just enough strategy to it and everything, right? About like,
Mhm,
okay, I have this much time left. What is the pace of this run? I could keep this one going and maybe get a small PB, put myself in a little better position
mhm,
for taking like 4th place in this and moving up in the cash prizes and whatnot. But then I cut into the time. If I reset, I can maybe get a better run right now and I can for like 2nd place.
mhm,
But then all of a sudden the run starts over. Like you only have so much time to get the run done. I love the strategy that comes with it. As
mhm.
opposed to just like, you know, it's a 1v1. I do my stuff, you do your stuff, and we'll see who ends up at the end at the finish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can get a lot more people that way, a lot more
Yep.
content. Like you're
Yep.
not always looking at a reset. There's usually always someone somewhere. Um,
Mhm.
and yet like you can see better times. There's a lot more like on the fly kind of stuff, like
Oh
decision
yeah.
making in the moment. Like it's such a good format. And
Yep.
I like the ideas of kind of taking that format, but like maybe the first to get this time or the
Uh-huh.
like it's the same kind of concept but with a different kind of end goal, different
Absolutely.
resolution. Like there's a lot you can do with this format, and we're seeing it come more and more mainstream in speedrunning. And yeah,
Mhm.
I definitely think it's cool. Have you seen the Mario one, the guy that uh takes all the consoles and has all this technology? I mean, it's going to be hard for me to explain, but it puts it all on one screen and you can live see where everyone is on one map.
Oh, I maybe know what you're talking about.
Yes.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, like vague. Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah,
That
yeah.
also, because the, like traditional races are cool and all, but they can only be so entertaining.
Right.
They get old after a while, and you know you can only focus on so many people doing. But with this, it's that, but you're seeing it all at once. You
Yeah.
don't have to like keep looking at see where everyone is. It's all just right there. Leaderboard in real time, seeing where everyone
Uh,
is in real time. It perfectly frame counts how long their run was in real time. It's
Unreal.
crazy.
That's so
That's
cool.
something else
It
I also
almost looks
see.
more like Mario 35 at that point,
Yeah, yeah, it
right?
kind of
It's like
does.
you're seeing all of it happen at once right there and like absorbing all this data just like immediately. That's
So yeah,
incredible. Hopefully
I
more
think these
resources.
competition things are like a huge part of how speedrunning moves on and
Uh,
yeah, it gets a whole new audience because like there's the audience for like the casual reset heavy and speedrun thing. There's the audience for like the content creation side of things. We could build up one for the competition side of things. It's not really there. So, and yeah, there's the ones for the live event kind of format. But yeah, it's kind of like an untapped market, and it's nice to see people keep trying new things with it. And I think the future is awesome for it. Like, I don't think
yeah.
LTAs will ever really get boring, just
Uh,
because there's always something to watch in that format. And then yeah, this whole new race thing, if that technology could like be applied to other games in a way that makes it work,
oh,
like it's so cool to see live and be
yeah.
a part of. Like I cannot express how cool that technology is.
You
So
should DM me that channel because I was like, oh, I
yeah,
need to go refine that. Yeah.
yeah, they're
Because that
uh
stuff I think is so cool.
I think I can say this, at pace there will be another one of those. So
Ooh, let's go.
so it's so back. The
Advertisement. We're
technology,
so bad.
we are so back. Um, so yeah, that technology is just the coolest thing ever, and I
Yeah.
really want it to succeed because I think it makes the whole competition side of speedrunning like this could change it forever,
Oh yeah.
and,
All of a
and it's just not
sudden,
there yet.
all of a sudden people can absorb it. You think a lot
Hmm.
of people who are into sports, all the information you need right there on the screen in front of them. At the end of the day, I cannot watch a basketball game for the
Hmm.
first hour and a half. And I show up and I look down at the bottom of the screen. Oh, this team is up 76-74. I, I, I have the context I need. You figure
Hmm.
out some way to relay that to the audience. Oh my gosh.
Hmm.
Speedrunning can start taking off as a
Hmm.
competitive form
Yeah, it's like
instantly.
running track. You see where everyone is and who's ahead, all on like the same, like the whole level, like the levels right there. You can see the placement of everyone in real time. They have like their timers tracking them, and
Mm-hmm.
it'll like finish. It's that,
Yep.
but in speedrunning, and you can just see all that data the same kind of way right there. Like it makes it so much easier to digest for the casual audience, and it makes it more entertaining and like really engaging when you're like two people might be tied and then one barely takes ahead at the very end or something, and you see that live. It's crazy.
So
I
I'm
know.
so glad we're gonna get more for that.
Yeah,
Just in case.
I just so hope that takes off more and more because like currently it's only for Mario 1 because so much work goes into just having it work for one game. Like
Oh yeah.
it's pulling all this data from the original hardware. Like I
Oh.
it's so hard. I can't imagine just how like hard it is to get it all set up in that way. It can even live, like if something happened, you can like play a little replay window of that one person, put it in the corner, and have like a slow motion replay as the
Oh my.
race is still going on. I,
Oh my god.
it's
Oh my.
crazy.
It's so cool what the tech heads have been able to figure out. Again, you got stuff like crowd control that's been done.
Hmm.
All these like randomizers and everything, multi worlds where players are over the powers of the internet. I could be playing Super Mario World and I can affect what happens in your game and link to the past. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many cool things that people figure out how to do. It's cool they're figuring out stuff here that can relay to the audience more information. Speedrun.
Hmm.
Oh, I'm nerding out just thinking about
Hmm. Yeah, the run has also been a nice thing that kind of keeps track of where
it.
people's runs are
Yeah.
live, and you can like see like because it connects to their splits, like oh, this person's ahead of their PB right now, I can click on their stream now and watch it.
Just go
Like
straight there.
yeah, just go straight there. Like
Yeah, I was wondering if the run was taken off because I saw that advertised on Twitter like year, 2 years ago, whatever at this point.
mhm.
I remember thinking, like, this is big if this works. This
Yeah,
is like
it's
super for the people I want to watch whenever people are like on any sort of pace.
mhm.
Just see people who are speed running right now.
I'd
Because
like to think it is
Twitch is
taking
big.
off. Yeah, it is.
Twitch is big. It's an ocean of content. And sometimes you need something to point you with.
Yeah, I have all my splits linked with the site. I mean, it keeps track of like all of your run, like every piece of data you could ever want out of your live split gets uploaded like in real time. And then if you're doing runs, like it shows your pace. You click on the stream right there. You can sort by your game or whatever. As long as it's linked to it, yeah, it's there. I think it's doing very well, and they're like a lot of these LTAs are using it to like keep track of the
Uh,
leaderboards in real time, and you can see like every
ah,
competitor where they are ahead of their PBs and whatnot, and get it in there. I think they have a beta for races now with this kind of technology where you
okay.
can get the live split, so you don't have to just dot done at the end. You could like see how ahead or behind you are on each split as the race is going on. Yeah,
Oh, very cool.
yeah. There's a lot of tech stuff going on,
Yeah.
especially
Hey, man.
again with all this competition side of things. I think we're gonna see a big boom in that over the next few years, hopefully at least, because I think it's super entertaining stuff,
Please do.
and
Please
it can
do.
coexist with everything else we already have. It
Oh,
just make it grow even more. There's so much more speedrunning has to offer, even though it's already done so much.
yeah. Mhm.
Like,
I think a lot of us are data heads. We
yeah,
love, like, what's okay? So I'm going to use Live Split.
uh huh.
Do you, what is your single favorite stat on it? I
Um,
know mine, I touted for years, and I felt like it finally caught on 3, 4 years ago. Best possible
I
time
was
is
gonna
my
say
first.
that. Yeah, I like being able to know, like, because first of all it shows you some of best for you essentially at the start, and
Right.
then it lets you know like, hey, you can still PB.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
until
You
it's
can
like
still PB.
slower, you can just keep going.
It's yeah, exactly. It's still like you have a shot. It's
Hmm.
and it gives me an idea of like over the course of the run. I've had someone build an even further extension of this projected time,
Hmm.
where all right, my run is 15 minutes long. I've played 3 minutes and I've lost 4 seconds. So projected forward, I'm on pace to lose about 20 seconds over the course of the run because I've played 20 of the run up to that point. So I've
Hmm.
got a little extension that keeps track of that and just does simple math afterwards. Trying to see if we can adjust that to where it can even be more accurate based on, well, these early splits, you generally don't lose a lot of time. So if you lose time there, it's maybe going to project a little worse time. But if you've got some of your harder splits up front, it's saying, hey, you got through there unscathed. All of a sudden, you're on very, very good pace.
Hmm.
Yeah, I love best possible time though as a base. Just it can let you look at it. It really, if you're savvy enough as a viewer to look at that time, you can immediately tell how solid this run is
Hmm.
and be able to project forward your own. This is kind of what they're on pace.
Yeah, and at least on my layout, I have it right under my PB split,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
they're all like right there. You can see. It's
There's the two
nice.
numbers.
Hmm.
Here's what we can get. Here's what we've done. So,
I also like the best pace ever. It'll show you how behind
oh
you
yeah.
are, like up to
Uh,
your best like split time there. And I think now it's even updated where it tells you the date you got that pace.
oh
So yeah,
really?
it's pretty
And
cool
sometimes
stuff.
you can see runners on these grinds and be like, oh, it's been like
Yeah,
2, 3 months
exactly.
since we've been on a pace this good. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, super cool information. Yeah, I'm a super data head too. So yeah, it's nice to have all of these resources to use to
If
keep
I
track of all
wasn't a
this stuff.
theater major, I was going to be a math. So like,
Mm,
I that's part of it. Was I mean, I'm like, man, I love spreadsheets. I
yeah,
love breaking stuff down. It's so good.
I have a like PB spreadsheet thing that's like
Uh,
hundreds of pages, where I take every category I've ever run and I put, like the time of each run, the date, the attempt number, the link to all of them, the placement
that
on the leaderboard, and then each one has a graph of like the PB over time. Yeah, I put so much work into
oh,
that.
that's so cool because it's really easy to lose track as a speedrunner to be like, wow, you're maybe super upset.
Hmm.
I missed PB by 2 seconds. Oh no. Ah.
Yeah.
Well, you realize that's also the second best run maybe you've ever done. Realizing like from where I was a few months ago, like watching my arc just slowly but surely go up. Like I'm doing things I never thought were going to be possible a couple of years ago. I'm
Hmm.
sure 5 years ago, GTA's had no idea you were going to be one of the best NES Mario runners of all time. You had no idea.
No.
You were just doing it because it's not to be fun. So I think having like historic data like that, super, super.
Mhm. Yeah, and you know, SRC, they finally fixed their like graphs for their world record progressions. So
Oh, really?
yeah, I'm glad that data's back, and you know, it's as accurate as it can be. It's only the information that the site has, but I mean, it's good information when it works. I like being able to see that graphed out, and yeah, again,
Mhm.
the run saving all of the live split data, and you can check any stat you want right there. Your backlog, that's nice, and yep, good for my data liking brain. So
You and
and
me too.
yeah, we're just seeing it more and more for like casual people too. Again, with all of the um, looking at the like LTA they have right now. Now they show like the people's event PB on the screen next to their name and what place they are on the leaderboard of the LTA event and
Right.
how many points they have towards their like to be able to qualify for the main event. And this information's so nice to have,
Oh yeah.
and we're seeing it more and more for the people that want to see it. It's very nice. Really,
500%.
yeah. Um,
Good for speedrunning, man.
oh yeah, so many good developments coming up, but again, like you've been around forever. Like, what have you seen over all these years? Like, whether it's GDQ or whatever it is. I know talked about practice hacks a little, but I mean,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
much has changed.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things in general, I brought up a little bit earlier, but just like Discord, I think was for speed.
Oh yeah,
I
that's really
I
big.
before that, I remember like I was in a couple of communities and we'd be in like Skype groups.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
Skype was purely a place to facilitate like calls. Not no. Like we've got all these different channels you can go into all of a sudden for like this specific speedrun. No one's got roommates anymore. There's a whole Discord just for this specific game within this specific series, all the practice hacks that you need, all the strategy talk, all the category extension talk.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I feel like that helped facilitate such good conversations so quickly. Yeah, I think Discord was massive for.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um, the only downside I know of with it, I mean, it's helped so much, but um, it is easy to lose information that's new if it's only posted in a Discord. It's nice to have it
oh,
somewhere
sure,
else
yeah.
too.
And that's
But
ultimately the community needs to take
yes.
care of that and make sure, like, hey, all this stuff we have, we need to document. 'Cause I know, like, I won't mention names of games, but I've definitely seen some
Mm-hmm.
over the last year or so. Like a new game will come out, and you'll be like, oh, okay, I got to go find. Wait, how was I supposed to know about this strat? And it's just
Mm-hmm.
you had to scroll 17 pages up
Yeah.
in the conversation in general to know what it was. Like it needs to get found and then it immediately needs to get documented for like, all right, this is a possible strategy to use on this one level. I don't know how viable it is, but yeah, you got to make that stuff easy. So as long as all the Discord mods and everything, as long as you're keeping track of that stuff, that's when Discord's at its best for
Mm-hmm.
speedrunning.
Yeah, just you could start up races, voice calls right there
Yep.
to do that. Yeah, all of your information is there to ask questions. Someone's probably there to answer. People have set up like marketplaces for like you could buy stuff people sell that you need for a run
Oh yeah.
maybe and yeah yeah I mean I use Discord like 8 hours a day every day
Uh-huh.
just because it's always open on my computer because that's how I just get information.
Mhm.
It's all right there. It's so easy. So yeah, I definitely
Yeah.
understand that being the big thing. I
Yeah.
don't. I
It
think I was
was
lucky where I never had to deal with a pre-Discord era speedrunning
Oh
scene.
yeah, you were lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was information moved so much slower because a lot of times another big thing that was cool at speedrunning events in general was just getting multiple people in the same room who know that game,
Hmm.
who are like, oh yeah, we all speedrun it. And you can all of a sudden, like right there in real time in front of each other, play out like, oh yeah, you see this action? Oh my gosh, yeah, here, let me show. Oh my gosh, where the amount of times people would get world records in like back rooms of GDQs and whatnot
Hmm.
We're out of this world because you just got multiple people like-minded who are hugely knowledgeable about a given speed run. You can't put a price on that. So all of a sudden, Discord allowed for just much more easy communication. I think between many different runners and glitch finders and routers and whatever, in order to make a game that much more figured out, that much more quickly.
Hmm. Yeah, super beneficial. Yeah, especially a lot of the community discords, the way I've seen them structured is just
Oh yeah,
you can find whatever you want so easily. It's very nice. So
very.
yeah, I definitely see that being game changing. There were a lot of backrooms GDQ records.
Yeah,
Really.
tons and tons. Like every single year, you just go through different patch rooms and you be like, oh, and sometimes you be like, they're getting the 2 players, 1 controller world record for
Yeah,
Mega Man or
yeah, like a
whatever.
co-op.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see
But
that.
they'll also they'll genuinely get world records in the back room and just yeah, they talk about how yeah, it was because we were all right there figuring it out. Like it was that much. And
Hmm.
Discord's like that next step removed from it.
Yeah. I know why
It
I
helps,
questioned
man.
that. Like, I didn't get
Communication.
like 3 or 4 world records in the practice rooms.
Right.
It's co-op. That,
Yeah,
my,
yeah,
my
yeah,
my
yeah.
mind didn't think of co-op, but yeah, that's like the big thing.
Yeah.
You have an excuse to be together, so let's do a co-op thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
So,
cool seeing all the co-op runs that have happened in back rooms because that's what's hard about co-op records in general. You got to know another person in the flesh who
hmm.
wants to get as in the weeds about a game as you do for Borderlands, for Super Mario Brothers, for whatever,
Hmm.
and do it right there co-op.
Yeah, and that's a rare situation to find yourself in.
Yeah,
So,
100%.
unless you have that live event where you're both obviously going to be there. Oh, dog cam.
Yeah, here's my co-op partner. What's up? She
Perfect.
wanted, she wanted to see the dad. Yeah. Golly, she attached. And now all of a sudden, all these
Attached.
years ago, I didn't know my wife when I got into speedrunning. I didn't have these puppies. And here we are now. My wife I met through speedrunning.
Hmm.
Among all the other wonderful, wonderful people uh, in speedrunning, some of my best friends in the entire world, people that I've been to weddings for and everything.
Hmm.
Yeah, the community aspect of it. It's like the boring answer because people bring it up all the time. What's favorite part of speedrunning? The people.
Yeah,
That's
I
how we have you,
100%
Bobby
agree.
girl.
So, something I've always said, advocated for is the community is the best part. The live events are the most fun part. Like that, it's just true, and most people share that sentiment. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I definitely agree there. So you went to every GDQ since 2012 summer. When did you like become part of the staff for it?
I so a lot of people for years assumed I was part of the staff for many years
Hmm.
because I was always probably one of the more recognizable faces that were, at GDQ. I like to talk, I like to camera, got it.
Hmm.
But I was not actually part of the staff until this past year. Like in the
What?
last, yeah, the last 6 months or so. Oh yeah. Yeah. See, I was like, you
What?
probably when did you think I started? What would have been your guess before I said that? Been there for
Well,
10 years or something?
I would have said at least 2018 because that was the I went to SGQ 2018 was the first one, and you were one of the commentary people, like the pre-show like
Oh yeah.
stuff.
A lot of us
I
were not staff.
I
Our
thought pre-show
boss.
people were just staff. I
Nope, we
guess
were
no.
not staff.
All
No.
right.
And not everybody currently on it is staff. We're just eventually freelance writers who work with them,
Okay,
volunteers.
I see.
Just, I guess what we do is a little more involved.
Okay,
About half of us became staff in the last so,
I see.
which again, I think is more, if I'm being 100% honest, pulling back the curtain, is more a title than anything else.
Hmm.
Just keeping people on for a little bit longer, people that they value to, entertain the masses in between runs and whatnot. Um, But it's been a real joy getting to do the interview process over the years. I love sitting down with different runners for all these different games and talking to them about their speed runs and saying, all right, what got you into speedrunning? Why did you run this game? What are some of the hardest tricks that you're going to have to do? Maybe it's a post game talk and say, what was the most terrifying bit that you had to do? What's the proudest you were to pull off a strat? I
Mhm.
love talking to runners about that sort of stuff. And I've gotten to interview, is it over 100 people now? It's a lot of interviews that I've gotten to do for GD. Probably about in that. Very, very fun.
All right. Well, I guess it's my mistake for assuming like the commentary team was staff and not.
No, that's a lot of people assumed that. A
Yeah,
lot of people would commonly like come into my chat and be like, "Hey, Spike, where's GDQ going to be this year or something?" And I know they're asking it because they think I'm staff.
I
I
see.
tell them, and even as staff now, I don't
You
know.
can't.
That's
Yeah.
very few people know.
Hmm.
Very few people know. People ask all the time, like, "Oh, you're just hiding that information, right?" Like, no,
No.
they
Yeah.
don't tell us anything.
I know someone that was staff that said, "Yeah, I wouldn't tell you if I knew, but I don't know."
Right. But I have no idea.
Hmm. Yeah, it's such a few
Ah.
s- group of people, but I guess I'll change my question then. When did you like get involved with like the, you know, I guess
The
event, even though you weren't like hired by them, but you know.
Yeah, so I would say like my involvement became more involved.
Hmm.
Uh, back in what was it, SGDQ 15? That sounds Summer Games Done Quick 2015. Myself and a group of my friends, Darkman, Golden, Feasel, Studio, among us. We said, you know what GDQs need? They need stuff going on in between runs because a lot of people like, even if you don't like interviews, what they are these days. Back then, it was in between runs, you watched people fiddle with cables for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, half an hour if there were tech issues, you know? So
Hmm.
I said, I think we should constantly, as a show, as a performance, be entertaining people. We should strive to entertain people, not just when a game's on screen, but between it as well for this week long event. Remind people that we're here donating for amazing causes all throughout the week. So I was part of that ground, from the ground up, convincing them that hey, interviews would be great. We could talk to runners and try to get them to come out of their shell a little bit, and talk a little bit about like what makes the speed run tick, everything.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was about middle of 2015. We started pitching it a little bit before that, but they finally brought us on in 2015. And God, we're coming up on 10 years of GDQ interviews. That's
Mm.
that's incredible. I think the first interviews that ever took place at GDQ were actually done by a few others, including I Ate Your Pie, back at SGDQ 2014. So this SGDQ will be 10 years of GDQ interviews. So
Wow. Wow.
a fun little factoid.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's where I was like, I can apply my skill set and help the event become even more than it already is, which is already an amazing.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that was a huge addition. I
Mhm.
I know they obviously weren't at the very start, but I always assume people were just interviewed. I guess I always thought there would have been things in between because yeah, there's so much setup time, but I
Oh
guess there
yeah.
just wasn't. I mean, I wasn't around to see it, so I could only assume. So,
Well, and now
oh
again,
yeah, now.
anybody who didn't watch AGQ, the dual stage setup is so
Mhm.
clutch. It's so clutch, daddy. All of a
Such
sudden,
such a good
games are
addition.
getting set up so fast. Games are
Hmm.
getting set up so fast. I know ESA has been doing stuff with it as well. We're just, you got two different stages. So, you and Cosmic for y'all's race, y'all got to be set up while we were doing the run right over the table
Hmm.
on the other side. And then while y'all were going, they're getting set up on the other side. So all of a sudden, like theoretically, if they just wanted to roll from one run into another, they could. But to ease it up on, you know, everything else, how it needs to flow,
Hmm.
there's almost a little bit I'm sorry, all right, let's just wait an extra minute or two and then we'll start on time. Because
Mhm.
it's very, very important to an event like that that not we go as fast as we can. Yeah, we don't want to fall behind schedule. We also don't want to get ahead of schedule. We want to start right at the timing of
Mhm.
uh we want to start right. Sorry, my dogs are barking. We want to start right. If it says Super Mario Brothers is going to start at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time, then we want to start at 7 o'clock. So
Mhm.
people know exactly when to show up and not, oh, I showed up at 7:15 and they're almost done. You know,
Mhm.
speedrunners are fast. You let them go, they're going to be off to the races. So I think we're entering a new era of GDQ. There's a lot of different mindsets as far as like how to construct schedules and whatnot. That demand for amazing, great commentary the entire time. And just, less filler, more killer. Make sure you get stuff on screen faster that people want to watch and keep it going. I'm proud of the community for what they did. I think this past GDQ was maybe the greatest GDQ of all time that you got to be a
Mhm.
part of. And I only see it going up from here. It's we are so bad. It's
We are
it's where
so
it is
bad.
right
I'm actually curious. We'll get back to modern day, but like not just interviews, but what else has like been added to the process over time up until modern day?
now. For the interviewers specifically, are you saying like in our field?
Just it can, yes, and it can also be like what else was added to the event to like
Oh yeah.
help grow it more and more, like
Yeah.
because it's
I
not just runs and interviews either.
Oh yeah, it's you go up there, you go to a live event, and there's you look backstage, there's 50 people.
Hmm.
There's everybody. There's not just a tech person back there just making sure, like, okay, the stream looks fine. There's 5 people on audio. You've got camera operators the whole time back there making sure everything's going fine. We've got 7 people over in the interview pit getting ready and going over what's a little skit we're going to be doing or what's the next runner that's going to be coming in. We've got a green room over on the side where the runners of the very next game now, so you're super on deck, are getting ready, making sure they're wrangling all their commentators and everything. There's so many little roles, all the donation station processing everything. You realize the whole thing is a well oiled machine to make sure the product is good from all standpoints, to where they've had to hire different people to say, you are just the coordinator of donations. You are the coordinator of the tech going on backstage. You are the coordinator of the interview team. You're the stage coordinator to make sure that like all the runners are being communicated to. We got stage managers up there doing stuff, enforcement for safety at the event. It's cool seeing all the different roles. I was honored to get to be one of the people that got to do the closing speeches for this past year. And I had on my card, my cheat sheet to read out, thank you to all the donators, the runners, the tech people, the yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. And like, I went down like 25 different things, and I don't think I scratched the surface. There's so many different fields that people are now specialized in. Make sure, all right, your side is good, my side is good, their side is good, to make this whole production come together. It feels a little bit like you're on like a film set,
Hmm.
like all the different
You kind of
aspects that are
are.
not just the run and the runner at the center of all of it. There's
Hmm.
so much going on around it. It's incredible.
Hmm.
And GDQ, I think, has gotten better and better from that production side every single year. This past event being a particular highlight.
Hmm. Like, how many people would they have like working behind the scenes back in the day, like the early to mid 2010s?
Oh, a person on tech and a host. Like
Really,
that's
that's it.
if it was prime time, maybe 2 people were on. It was making sure like the webcam was pointed at the runner, and the probably blue Yeti mic was situated correctly on the ground and picking up runners well enough. Now everyone's got different like mic'd up sets they've
Mhm.
got going and everything. All the commentators, so much thought put into like just the set dressing, like what all they've got and everything. The interview and scent. and his prize dungeon, all the different prizes, like the character he's taken on doing that. It's very, very cool.
Mhm,
It's a lot, and it can be hectic, it can be stressful, but as someone who came from a theater background, I'm like, I love it.
mhm,
I love the care we have for the product we're putting out.
mhm. Oh yeah, you can always tell there's a lot of, you know, people that care so much about it working it. Like it's so easy to tell. I mean, speedrunners be that way. They care. Maybe it's
Yeah.
too much sometimes.
Right, right. We care
So,
sometimes to a, an obsessive point, but
yeah.
like it's cool to showcase that a little bit. Like
Mhm.
I want the people who care.
Yeah,
I want the
exactly.
people who care to be working with me and putting on these processes. I want to get nerdy with you. Come be nerdy with me. That'd be
Mhm.
I want
So
to just real quick,
yeah.
just because my dogs are crying, they need to go on a walk. So I don't know if we can maybe
Oh,
try
I
to wrap
see.
up or anything. Yeah. Sorry, I'm the only one taking care of the dogs, but
Uh, yeah,
yeah, I know. I loved the conversation. This has been great. So I don't know if you have any like a transition into.
yeah, they were just yeah, I had a lot more questions, but yeah, I don't want to
We're gonna
take it there.
talk endlessly. Yeah. I was like, I've had ones where people were like, we could go like 5, 6 hours. Like it's
Yeah,
but
well, I definitely at least wanted to bring up the Speedrun Coliseum because that's
oh
like a
yeah.
speedrunning event that you're very much involved in, so I feel like it'd be
Yes.
hard to not mention that.
Yeah, Speedrun Coliseum. I was reached out to a couple years ago by my good friend Rom Scout, the first person I ever met in person at a GDQ back at SGDQ 2011. And he and Direct Relief wanted to start putting on these Coliseum events. It's run by a lot of the same people who do Zeldathon. Have you ever heard of it?
Mhm.
Not a
Yeah.
speedrunning event they necessarily do at Zeldathon. They just get comfy and they raise a bunch of money for charity while playing a bunch of Zelda games that people like. It's cool.
Mhm.
But they have done stuff with Kaizo Coliseum with Grand Pooh Bear. Um, Always a great event to be a part of. And they wanted to do one that was specifically much more catered to speed running itself, not necessarily just challenge runs and whatnot. And they reached out to me. Lucky enough, I don't know why I was the person they picked, but
Mhm.
they did. And I took it in a heartbeat. And we've done 2 events of it so far. And they've both been some of my favorite events I've ever been to. It's just, like you said, it's a sometimes GDQ is obviously both a big, beautiful thing to be a part of,
Mhm.
but it also is a big, hectic, wild machine
Mhm.
where I can't tell you how often I'll see people at the event and be like, oh, we should grab lunch at some point. And I'm so busy out the week. And there are so many people there. I physically don't have time to spend with everyone I would like to spend with that week.
Mhm.
So when I go to the smaller events like a Kaizo Coliseum, a Speedrun Coliseum, it's nice to be like, there's like 15 or 20. And there's only so much content we have between us. We all have to work together to build that content over the
Mhm.
course of the next 3 or 4 days. There's a lot more like, it's much more intimate with the smaller cast that has to be brought together for that. Um, we've been lucky enough to raise over $100,000 in our first 2 years for
Wow.
direct relief. Very, very cool. And I don't want to give away anything, but we've already been in talks about doing a third event this year.
Mhm.
And I've had a lot of thoughts about I can give this away. I want to create something at the event that you can't see the rest of the year. Again,
Mm.
I would never criticize GDQ. GDQ puts on an amazing show twice a year, raising millions of dollars for
Mhm.
charity and amazing causes across the board. Um, a lot of people say like, well, I want to, now it's not like it was back what I said in the early 20 teens
Mhm.
where I, I'm watching these speedruns live. I don't get to watch this all throughout the now. I go watch GTAs do their run at GDQ. I could probably watch GTAs do it all throughout the year.
Mhm.
I want to put on speedrun performance art at Speedrun Coliseum that you are not going to see the rest of the year. If you don't watch this event, you're not gonna know. You miss it.
Mm.
It's only gonna happen right here. So over the course of the next, 6 months or so, there's gonna be a lot of thought process put into how do we create something that unique that I think can play to the audience who not only likes speedrunning, but also in a way is this is gonna sound harsh, is tired of speedrunning. They've seen speedrunning. They've seen it
Mhm.
a million times. What's something different we can do? And that's where we are in the stage of year three. That's kind of what I guess I can. And you
Alright.
might wonder, like, oh, is Spike just not telling us everything? I'm still figuring out
Yeah.
what is that thing. What is
Mhm.
that thing that no one has seen before, and they're going to get to watch there. Other than that, it's been a beautiful event. It's been wonderful to be a part of. Honored to have my name slapped on it. And yeah,
Well,
Speedrun Coliseum. Check it out.
definitely
Generally
sounds
later in the year.
exciting.
Yeah.
It's nice to hear that it sounds like there's plans in effect here. So,
Yes.
because yeah, the
Because
past two
every year you don't
events,
know.
yeah, especially with smaller events, like yeah, it can change. One day you're doing it, the next day you're not. It you never know. So,
There was a
it,
time where I was like, maybe we'll just do this 1 year, maybe we'll do this 2 years. You're grateful for any year you come back. Like, at what
mm,
point could GDQ have not been a thing? Like, it's
yeah,
a massive event that you gotta, get a lot of people out to do these different, all their different roles. Like I was talking about back there, it is the bigger it gets, the harder they fall, the
hmm
harder it's gonna be to keep everything.
yeah. I've just
Yeah.
loved seeing the rise of a lot more smaller speedrunning events,
Oh yeah.
and they're
GSA is
growing more and
awesome,
more.
dude.
Yeah, like yeah, pace is great. I don't know when ESA started, but they were doing big things. They're pretty huge now. Probably
Yeah.
one of the like the second biggest speedrun event. I don't know. I could be
Yeah,
making
it's
shit
probably
up, but
second biggest. You could say, yeah. No, I think I think that's pretty fair, and it gave opportunities. I'm shocked as someone who's flown to an ESA one time.
mm,
I am shocked whenever people from Europe make the trip out to a G.
no,
I'm
yeah,
like,
it's
that is so far to fly
mhm.
out, man,
Yeah,
for a
it's
speedrunning
great
event.
that the other side of the world can have their own thing as well. Japan has their
Yeah.
own thing as well. Like, yeah,
Yep.
there's a ton of
RTA in
stuff.
Japan.
Hmm Yeah, but I just love seeing all these events because there's always something unique about each one that makes them worth your time. Um, and there's pros and cons for the big events, the small events. Uh, yeah, there's something worth it for everything, and that's what's great. And it's always going to be entertaining. There's always probably going to be some awesome cause to support. Like it's just all good all around, I'd say. So,
If you're into speedrunning in any way, try to go to an event.
oh
Like, you
yeah,
live somewhat close to an RPG limit break, GDQ out in Europe, ESA. Yeah,
yeah.
man.
I've said many times, if you're a speedrunner, you need to go to a live event at least once. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing else like it. If you're into the community, you will be into it, just for sure. I also want to quickly bring up you've been doing quite a big stream thing recently.
Oh,
Yeah,
are we talking about Mania?
yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's maybe one of those things like you get older and you realize like your nostalgia, like how it creeps up. I
hmm
was like, I grew up in the 90s. I was a 90s kid through and through.
hmm
And what was the 90s? The Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, console wars. I like both. I
hmm
love Sonic the Hedgehog. Um, but Super Nintendo was like always my favorite console growing up. Super Mario World, Mega Man X, Donkey Kong Country. These are games that defined what I loved as a kid. Only 2D platforms. That's all I said, right?
hmm
So I was like, you know what? I remember years ago, TMR, the Mexican runner, did a NES Mania, all 700 something NES games completed. And everybody said, there's no way he'll ever beat it. It's going to be impossible. And
hmm
years later, he completed it. It was so, so cool. And I said, you know what? I love the Super Nintendo. And my guess is that I feel like if I had a bag with all the Super Nintendo games in it and I randomly pull one out, I have better than 50% odds that what I play will be fun.
Mm,
It'll be a good time. It's not going to be Link to the Past. Not going to be Chrono Trigger or Super Mario World or Donkey Kong Country or any of them, but like it'll be a fun enough little game. I am so far out of 718 US released Super Nintendo games. I just completed game 75 the other day, so I'm just over 10% in.
wow.
And that theory holds up.
Mm,
I would say of the 75 I've played, a good like 55, 60 of them I've had some amount of fun with. There's some crap,
of course.
but every console's got that. I don't recommend D-Force. I don't recommend Pit Fighter. I don't recommend race driving. But by and large, there's a lot of really fun stuff. I highly recommend UN Squadron. There's so many good shmups on that console. I highly recommend the Adams Family.
Hmm.
If you like fast-paced 2D platform and Metroidvania style games, the Adams Family is awesome. I loved that game. But there's tons of really, really cool games. And yeah, I mean, I guess if you want me to plug my stream,
Sure.
I will be doing that for the next probably 4 years. I will be
Yeah.
playing through that console. I'm 75 games in. That means I need another 653 games, quick math, for me to complete the whole thing. So yeah, I'm
And
looking forward to seeing how the console evolved over time, because one thing I've tried to do is like the order of the games is their
mhm.
US release order. So I'm seeing what was released early on, and then as developers kind of realized how to use the tool set in front of them at the Super Nintendo, how they were able to take advantage of it. Yeah,
Oh,
it's been a lot of fun. My community's enjoyed it a lot, and I'm looking forward to the whole journey.
yeah. I was just about to ask you, we're doing them in release order, right? So you answered
Yeah.
that for me. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's a unique way of doing it. I think a TMR was just randomly picking, or chat would pick or something. So
I
it's
think
got
the
to be a
only
unique
thing is
twist
he
on it.
knew he was going to end on Super Mario Brothers 3 because that's his
Yeah,
favorite NES game, or it's like one of his favorite games of all time,
of
period.
course.
Um, and other than that,
Mhm.
I yeah, he had some method to its madness about like what got picked thing. So
But
there's
yeah,
loads of different ways you can do it. And it's inspired. There's a lot of people doing it. The Beast
yeah, I've been
right now,
watching
who's
his
super known.
series. Yeah.
He's doing N64 Mania. And he went more hardcore than me. He included like PAL region and just Japanese
Oh, he's
exclusive
got
release games.
everything. Literally
He's got
everything.
everything.
But
Shout
the
out. I'm about to
Nintendo
say you saw
64 has less games, so
it does.
it kind of works.
Yeah,
What impresses
it's still
me,
less than 400 games,
yeah,
but yes.
what impresses me about him specifically is he makes like a full YouTube content edited YouTube video for each game.
Yes. I know
That's crazy.
that's something if I could afford an editor or anything, or if
Yeah.
I had better editing skills or anything, absolutely. Because I just upload the VODs.
Hmm.
I'm just like, here's the full playthrough of Super Mario World. Here's the full playthrough of F-Zero, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
It's not edited at all. It's just raw. This was my like 5-hour playthrough. Enjoy.
Hmm.
But yeah, so, like if you could go through and like actually edit it down to like, here's the 15-minute digestible of what this awful shmup was for the SNES, like then all of a sudden I could sell a lot.
Hmm.
Yeah, maybe one. We'll see.
And you are playing the games to like completion credits and stuff, right?
Yes, that
Yeah.
is. It's for the most part. There's one exception I made was pretty much just sports games across the board.
Well, of
I love
course, yeah.
sports. All of them are like, all right, this basketball game, I need to win a game of basketball
Yeah,
because by far the biggest genre on the SNES are sports games. 718 games, 157 of them are sports games. So if I did like a
okay.
full season of all of them,
It'd be
no
impossible.
one wants to watch that. Nobody wants to watch that. People
That's
want to see you
crazy.
get to the beat 'em ups and the shmups and the platformers and the RPG. But just like one game, that is, you have to learn the game well enough to be able to win,
Hmm.
a football game, a basketball game, or something. We learn enough about the mechanics, then we move on.
I didn't
Other than that,
realize.
yeah, like
Wow.
all these like supers, I have played some balls difficult games to completion. I would not wish on anybody else. There's been at least a couple games that I finished where I'm like, I feel like I'm probably maybe about the 17th person in the world to beat this game,
Mhm,
right? Like, not many people have actually seen this to the end. Like, you go online, you can't find any footage of anybody beating it.
mhm.
The one video on YouTube, the long play, is like very clearly a task that they
Or they use
uploaded.
save states, yeah. A lot of long
Yeah,
plays use
yeah, in
save
order, yeah,
states.
yeah, right. It's the task without the S. It's just tool
Yeah,
assisted.
it's the
There's no
ta.
speed run, really. Yeah.
It's the ta. But yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, it's Cessmania is a great time. If you GTAs, let's
Mm.
pretend you're in Dragon Ball Z. You got the room of spirit and time, the hyperbolic time chamber, whatever you want to call it, based on region. You have infinite time. You
Okay.
can play through the entire library of any console. What are you gonna play?
God, that's so hard.
Uh,
Because again, I'm really bad at picking things. But you know, every console, has its reason to exist, but also has 80% fucking dog shit.
oh yeah.
So
Oh
it's
yeah.
no matter what I choose, I'd be like hating most of it probably.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah.
So I really don't know. It's such a hard
I,
question to answer.
I, I asked this question at GDQ. I got a nutty range of it.
Yeah, I assumed you would get quite a big range, and you
Oh
also,
yeah.
I guess it is, yeah, infinite time, but
Right. You
some
have infinite time to
consoles
get through.
are like 300, some are 3,000.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like me doing the Super Nintendo was like, I love the Super Nintendo, and 718 is a lot of games.
And that's
It
just
is.
US.
That's just US.
Yeah, that's just US.
But I also think the Super Nintendo was in an okay spot difficulty wise. Like my
Mhm.
average playtime in these games is only like 4.5 hours. Like the games are not ball bustingly difficult like the NES is,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah.
Most of the games are completable, right?
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, like I thought that was reasonable. But you've got like Mr. Shasta right now, who's
The
doing
DS one,
DS
yeah.
destruction, 1,600 something games. I'm like, that man's gonna be playing DS games till he's 50.
They've got the
Yeah, you
time
got a
for
bunch of people
it.
throughout N64. You had people throughout GameCube, PlayStation 1. A couple people said PlayStation 2, and they were like, it's good they have infinite time because there's like 3,000
Yeah, that's
games
what I
on
was
the
saying.
PS.
Like,
Yeah.
no, there's no way. Do you want to be?
Steam.
Oh.
Yeah. Let's do Steam,
That's like
dog.
99% garbage.
Oh yeah, that's
That
you're gonna play a lot of games that you don't want to tell anybody you played.
Yeah, that would definitely not be my choice,
Yeah.
personally.
I would skip if I one day we'll see in like 4 or 5 years when I finish Cessmania. I could see myself doing US released N64.
Yeah,
Because again, that one is probably one of the more accessible ones. Because, like you say, there's less than 300s N64 games.
yeah.
Again, that is a lot of video games. 300 is more video games than most people will beat in a lifetime. But relative to other consoles, if you're going to do a main,
Actually,
I'll
I've
Sega
been
Dream. Yeah, go ahead.
Dreamcast. I've been really thinking about it, and I didn't even. This is the only Nintendo console I've never owned, but I might say GameCube. I think that hits a really
Oh, there
good
you go.
balance.
Yeah.
First of all, it'd
It's
be a lot
like
of things I've never
500
played.
games.
Yeah,
Yep.
I've a lot of things I've never played before, and I think it's that perfect blend of decent quality. It's like not too primitive. The
Yep.
controller's great.
Yep.
A lot of bangers. I think that might be like the way to go.
Honestly, I think GameCube would be like a really good balance.
Yeah, I think that'd
I
be a
think a
good
lot of
balance.
games like and franchises kind of come into their own. GameCube's got, like you say, a bunch of unique stuff. And of course, like you got your great games, your Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Super Mario Sunshine, the Monkey Ball games,
Hmm.
Luigi's Mansion, Pikmin games are fantastic. Yeah, like you have a baseline of a bunch of good stuff.
Oh yeah, and yeah, I don't know how much slop is on there, but I just know it's
Every console's gonna have slop. Yeah.
everyone has slop, but I I know it didn't release that much because it didn't do all too well, even though I feel like should have. It was pretty.
Number three. Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Well, it's
So
up against the PS2 and
yeah, I
the
know.
Xbox.
But yeah, I think that's like the safest answer
Yeah,
if it's hard to come up with an answer for what you said. So I'll go with that.
I think GameCube's a great pick. Yeah,
Yeah.
I absolutely think it'd be a great pick. Game
Oh,
Boy Advance was picked a
or
lot.
you could pick PS5, so you're only there for like 24 hours.
Right, I know. I was like, that's the funny play. If you do it only exclusives,
Hmm.
you go to PS5 and it's like, dog, got like
I'm in and
11
out.
games here.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm so glad FF7 Rebirth is coming out to justify this big bastard's purchase over here on the side for
Oh, you
me.
got
Oh my
it. Yeah.
god. It's
Yeah.
like it's like my Souls game machine to have sitting right there.
I see. But yeah, is there anything we didn't talk about that you feel is important?
No, I just GTA's. Thank you so much for having me on, man. I think uh, you are one of the all-time greats right now in speedrunning,
Hmm.
and I'm
Well,
honored that you want to talk to me. It's super cool that you're putting on all this content creation as well. I think this is the sort of content that is going to help speedrunning move forward.
hmm,
More of this, like the personality side of things. So, yeah. Uh, thank you for having me on. Speedrunning is cool. And I
yeah.
would tell to anybody out there if speedrunning looks intimidating, it's unlike any other challenge run out there of gaming. It is as easy or as hard as you want it to be. It
Hmm.
is the journey you make along the way. You absolutely can pick up a game that you love and just appreciate it on an even deeper level. And you maybe will hate it on a little deeper level as well, because that's part of speedrunning.
Hmm.
And just get a little
Comes with
better
the
at the game.
territory.
Just like build up that knowledge. It's super, super cool. The community is awesome. Check out speedrunning. I will always recommend it.
Of course. I definitely am a big advocate for speedrunning, so
Yeah.
definitely agree. But yeah, if you want to self promote any way you'd like, you can do that as well.
Yeah. You can follow me on twitch.tv/spikevegeta. I'll be doing lots and lots and lots and lots of Super Nintendo games over the next 10 years there. But also I like to do randomizers, speed running, believe it or not.
Hmm.
Challenge runs. I'm something I always, if I had to describe myself, I am a variety speedrunner
Hmm.
as a streamer on Twitch. Yeah. I'm in all sorts of different franchises like Donkey Kong Country, Rayman, Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy, Mario, Donkey Kong. I
Hmm.
probably said Donkey Kong twice there, but a lot of different stuff there. So come check me out over there, and you can check out my YouTube channel. It's mainly just VODs, but it's got some followers. I always appreciate the extra view. Helps support the family. And
Of
you can
course.
catch me at GDQs as well, doing a lot of interviews and whatnot and little skits. It's a wonderful time.
Yeah. And also check out Speedrun Coliseum in the
Oh,
future.
yeah.
So
It'll happen. I
it'll
promise.
happen.
Hopefully. Unless they're call me up and they're like, oh, you suck. We're not.
Hopefully, we'll
Oh,
be seeing that later. All right.
fingers.
But yeah, I'll wrap it up here then. Thanks everyone for watching. Support the YouTube and Twitch if you want. I always appreciate it. And yeah, next week, weekly series. We're what 54 weeks strong or something, some number like that. Pretty big.
Woo!
I know.
Uh,
We're killing it. So hope you
that's
keep
awesome.
doing it. So yeah, keep checking it out. Thanks for watching and take care. Bye.
Bye bye.